welcome to Directly to You, episode 126. We're fanatixfour. I'm AJ at fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker at fanatixfour. It's just us this week. I'm sorry. Or not, you know?
Yeah. Maybe we're just waiting for a small, intimate podcast, just two friendly faces. I don't know.
Maybe you just
that.
like the house when it's the regular residence. Speaking of the house, you can help support said house and keep said house by going
Gryffindor
to
specifically, but
youtube.com/fanatixfour or twitch.tv/fanatixfour. For $4.99, you get exclusive emotes, you get loyalty badges, you get gaming time with us, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get access to our supporters only Discord. You can also get all of that stuff for free if you have Twitch Prime, which is, or no, it's Amazon Gaming now, which...
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's
interesting.
It's, you know,
I don't pay attention, I guess.
Decisions. It's the same thing. You link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account, you get a free subscription, and if you want to use that on us, then that's great. The dumb thing is, you got to manually every month go to twitch.tv/fanatixfour and say resubscribe, because it doesn't automatically do it. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, and our supporters only Discord, you get to have conversations and play games with some cool people like Duncan. He says, yo, Justin's there, Grimhane's there. Grimhane will probably Grimhane, you know, he'll probably do that.
It's true.
He's known to Grimhane.
Every once in a while, you know.
But you can also join our Discord for the free by going to the link in the description and just talking to everybody. Just have a good time, you know?
Yep. As far as house stuff, I want to know, not from you, just from the people in general. When you mentioned it, I mentioned Gryffindor. I don't really care about Harry Potter that much.
Okay.
I care medium, as in my wife really likes it. And I'm like, yeah, it's fun. I've seen most of all of the movies, as in 2 of them I think I've seen like half of, but whatever, don't, at me. But yeah, I'm Gryffindor. Ashley is Slytherin and proud of it. But to the people out there, AJ, I suppose you probably may not know.
I have no clue.
Okay.
See, but this is the
thing. That's what I want to know. What do people think
AJ
is? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments, because I want to know.
With Grimhane and Youthhurt, who are in the Discord.
Yeah.
And they say I'm Slytherin. And I have no context for what any of that means. I just know that it sounds like a bad thing, and I was offended.
It's not necessarily bad. Like in the books, in like the kind of story. Well, let's put it this way. It's like Slytherin is kind of the equivalent to like the Black Eagle house or something like that. And it just so happens that the Black Eagle house in the story of Three Houses, like it's like, oh, well, in this time some shenanigans happened here or something, or could have. It's not, whatever.
Or could have, maybe.
Yeah. So similarly, within the tale of Harry Potter, there's in that timeline of the Hogwarts houses and stuff like that, Slytherin happens to do some shady stuff, but otherwise, like, there's also some decent people, like Merlin, I think, is Slytherin, and
that's a person that
it know. Is
it's not.
Yeah. Like from Merlin from like King Arthur and all that. That one. Yeah, so in any case, I'm just curious. I would guess maybe Hufflepuff. But I don't know. I don't know enough about all of it. So
what do you guys think? That's
what I want
to know. But anyway,
and give your reasons why as well, because otherwise we'll just be like, yeah, sure. You said one of the 4 houses. I agree or disagree.
It's true. I'll agree or disagree for whatever reason. You know,
for whatever
give me context in a moment. See, but if you say like this is what it is because these are your attributes, it won't give me context because I don't know the attributes of the house.
That's true.
So it's like, but
that's the house. We've kept it.
I was gonna do a transition into, because I said fun stuff or something. Speaking of fun stuff, what games are you playing?
Look at that transition. Wow, you never would have even known. I am playing some games. I'm playing more Paper Mario. It's going well. I
still
finished.
My copy, I presume.
100%. Yeah, I'm not gonna start it again at this point. I think by now what I'm gonna do.
Are you still doing the stupid thing where if I turn the game on,
generally I'll just check if you're playing or not, and then obviously if you're playing, then I won't start or whatever. And then I'll just like make sure to save at a specific save point and not like, because there's been a couple of times where I'll have like just suspended the gameplay and not saved somewhere because like you can't save everywhere, which is games that do that. I have mixed. Octopath Traveler was the same way. There's plenty of save spots around, but like you can't always get to
I don't
them,
like
and that's
it. It's
just
dumb. It's
I'm
dumb.
not a big fan.
There's no like gameplay specific reason for it. It's
Yeah.
like that ingrained artificial difficulty thing. It's like,
Right.
it would be so much easier if you could just save wherever. It's like, no, it
Yeah,
wouldn't.
and it's not like,
It's just-
especially in this game, it's not like I'm gonna save scum anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like you
at
save
the
it and then you
very
reset.
least, put a quick save option where you can
Yeah.
save and then you have to turn the game off.
Yeah, with like New Super Mario Bros. U, that kind,
Yeah.
or like New Super Mario Bros. In general, you can
Right.
do one quick save, but then like the real saves are, you know, like if you die all the way, it brings you back to the last castle. I'm fine with that. But in any case, yeah. So I'm playing more of that. I just finished the yellow streamer, so I'm on to the purple one, in the Great Sea, doing some things, and that's been fun so far. I just started it, so that but playing that, it's still great. Same opinions as before, pretty much. There were some funny bits. There's somebody says yo 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 at one bit, and I took a screen. Maybe I took a video because I missed the screenshot, but I was like, I need to tweet this out to Duncan. So,
did you?
I haven't yet, but it's saved and it's queued up to happen at some point.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, some other things I would play in a little bit. Ashley, if people follow me on Twitter, they'll have seen Ashley started up Mario Odyssey, which I've been trying to get her to do.
I didn't
forever.
see this. I didn't see
Yeah,
this.
I tweeted out me doing a thing, just doing like one of the, you know, the hat jumps and those kinds of things.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I saw that.
I think it's somewhere there, or I mentioned. Oh, maybe it was in my.
I don't know.
I
I didn't see
replied to
anything
that.
about Ashley.
Hey, so never mind. I'll just tell people then. Yeah, Ashley started playing it, and I thought she would enjoy it, and I think she is. But I also think she's feeling a bit overwhelmed as far as like the number of things to do, and like is still very like anxious about like if she dies that it's going to be like really bad, even though it's like very little penalty when you die. Honestly, I might even recommend turning on the easy mode, because then I think it doesn't throw you back to a checkpoint. I think you just lose the 10 coins and keep going from there, which would probably feel better to her. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, she's having a good time with that. And it's fun for me. Every once in a while, she's like, I feel like I'm done right now. And then she'll hand it over to me. And I'm like, I'm not going to do any story things, but I'm just going to jump really far, lots of places, and have fun, which is what I did. So there's some things I'm playing. A couple more, but what you got on the docket?
Well, I've mostly been troubleshooting because I bought a bunch of stuff for this. So I haven't been playing a lot outside of the regular Smash, been helping people get good at the game and whatnot, you know.
What a kind-hearted human being.
Just doing that, you know. So no, I wanted to freaking play Paper Mario, but all this took up the time for that right now. So as soon as I feel comfortable, because I'm still in the space where it's like, because I tweeted, like, because people are like, you got to do a review. I'm like, I'm not doing that on the channel. If I do a review, it's going to be on my Twitter account, linked in the description. But like still doing like, just trying to approach it the same way that I would edit any other thing, just with obviously the better computer. So I don't come in knowing like, this is what I need. I do things as I just would do them anyway without thinking about it, and then being like, oh, this part sucks about this, I need to buy this to make this better. So like I got the stupid Magic Mouse, sucks, dude. Now I gotta buy Magic Trackpad because editing with the trackpad is so much better. So much better. It's because every time I go into like make a cut, I have to do Control plus and minus to zoom in, whereas before I can just pinch.
Yeah,
and I don't even have to think about pinching.
Yeah, man, that's lame. That was definitely a big thing for me, is like, figuring out shortcuts on new, like when I started learning Premiere, my fingers were still used to Pro Tools, and in Pro Tools, R and T are zoom in and zoom out. And so I was just like, dig, 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 dig. And in Premiere, those don't do that. I don't know what they do, but anytime I press them, it messes stuff up. And so like, adjusting all those kinds of things is just super annoying. So if you don't have to, that will definitely help. So Magic Trackpad all the way.
It just, even knowing that it's Control plus and Control minus and having like, it just complicates everything. Because when I can just have my hands situated and not even have to think about it, move anything, and edit just with like sitting like this, and I had to readjust every 3 seconds to do everything on the keyboard. I just pinch while I'm doing the thing, and then I'm there. But here I had to be like, okay, I got to take my finger off of J and L or whatever, and move over to control and play. It's stupid, and I hate it.
We love first world problems, but
yeah, man,
it's what they are, you know.
Hey, man, there's still problems. Dude.
They are. It's true, and especially if they're, you know, part of your job and all that.
Exactly.
So in that case, yeah. Otherwise, then the only other things I've played are a little bit more like Clubhouse and maybe a couple levels of Yoshi. Just because I was like, yeah, might as well finish it up. Even though I barely had played any of it, I realized. So it's more like I'm just playing the whole thing. And then the last thing was last night. Mitch came over, which was fun. And at some point we played some of Unravel 2, which goes on sale in the eShop every once in a while for like $5, and it is honestly really fun for multiplayer. Especially we played on his save file where he and his girlfriend had been playing, and they had unlocked some challenge rooms essentially, and she didn't like them because like they're kind of punishing where like or at least the first one was, where it's like there's no checkpoint, it's kind of long, and if you get to the end you have to just do the whole thing again, obviously. No checkpoint. And so he and I had fun playing it, but which was like different because there have been other games that we've like, again, like I said with Overcooked or something, he and I tried to play that at some point. Neither of us are super competitive, so it just like didn't do the thing the game's supposed to do, like the whole Mario Party, like you're mad at your friends but having fun doing it kind of thing. We were both just kind of like, oh, could you just bring that over? Okay, great, thanks. And like that's no fun. That's defeats the purpose. So yeah, so that's that. So it wasn't competitive, it was cooperative. But you know what is competitive? Fortnite versus Apple.
Sure.
That's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, it's not even just, I mean, we talked about it a little tiny bit beforehand. So it's like, I know you're not really like educated on the situation, but
I mean, I've read up a little more since then too. Okay. Yeah, it's
not just Apple. Apple is just the one that's like, nope. And they like clamp down on them a lot faster than everybody else did. It's literally every platform, which is why I thought it was a good idea to talk about this here, because it applies to Switch too, where they took their cut, Nintendo's cut or whatever, out of the.
I didn't realize. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Okay, so the story for people here, and I'll say what I know because it's probably the simplified version. You let me know if I'm missing any key pieces. I thought it was just Apple, so I didn't realize. But the Epic Games within Fortnite implemented a way that you can pay the microtransactions separately without going through their platform, going through like the Nintendo eShop, I guess in this case, or Apple or whatever, so that then Apple and Nintendo and these other companies wouldn't get their 30% or whatever share of that money, and it would just all go to Epic, was my understanding. And then from that, then Apple took Fortnite. I'm sure this part everybody knows. Apple took Fortnite off of iOS so that you can't play it on there anymore. And
out of the App Store, which
is
removing it from. And Google did.
So if you still have
with
it
the Google Play Store,
if you've downloaded it already,
let's check.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's interesting. I've seen people on both sides of this for sure. Where, but the fact that it's on all platforms definitely makes it different. It's hard for me to look at that. Okay. Does it work? What does it say? I can't read it.
I don't think it works.
Oh,
error.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. So it's taken off.
Oof.
Rip,
dude.
I don't totally know how. I think the thing is really whether or not.
Wait. No,
waiting.
Create a new account. Well, you keep talking. I was saying.
Okay, yeah.
Possibly.
So the interesting bit here too is that as soon as this happened, it was taken off. Epic filed an antitrust lawsuit against Apple, which I don't fully understand what that means, but essentially it's saying like this is bad business, I guess, to do this. Like not just like bad for your business, but it's like corrupt or wrong or that kind of thing, anti-consumer in a flagrant way.
It looks like it's working now.
Interesting. Okay. Which honestly is like, so, but probably you can't make it, you wouldn't be able to make any microtransaction purchases in that case. Okay.
Yeah,
Which is probably their best bet as far as if it can still work on iOS. Because like we saw that they were doing some promotion or like borderline propaganda
rallying
kind of
the
thing.
troops.
Yeah.
Rallying the
within
troops.
the game. But if you're doing that on the platforms that aren't iOS, then like who really cares? You know, like if they're like, hey, Apple sucks on the Fortnite version on Switch, then like Switch players would be like, okay, cool. So there we go. Now we know. But if they're like getting all of the, you know, iOS players behind them, then that's, you know, better for them or something.
This
I don't know.
The thing that first of all, okay, I think this is gross on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear with that. I think this is gross first and foremost because it's so manipulative. Because they're like this whole marketing campaign, because it is a marketing campaign at the end of the day, is unfairly, I would say, pinning this whole thing on Apple. Because it's not like Apple's cut is higher than everybody else's cut. Everybody's cut is 30%. The only thing that sets Apple apart from Google specifically is because people can go through other means and download the app, which people can't do on Apple. But they also can't do that on consoles. So it's like if the blame is on Apple and it's like they're unfair and blah blah blah, then you should be mad at freaking Microsoft and Nintendo and PlayStation 2. But because it's easy to hate on Apple because you know expensive products and freaking Xbox Cloud or whatever, which also I want to state that's also dumb. That's stupid. The xCloud situation, stupid. Apple should fix that. Very dumb. Yep. But in this case, it's just
I have thoughts on that too. Yeah.
I think that this is gross on another level because it's like rallying your fans to be angry at the concept of capitalism so that you specifically can make more money. And they can use the benefit of having Apple customers. They're talking about they're denying 1 billion consumers access to this game or whatever, right? Are they trying to monetize the billion people that are on their platform,
right,
and not just let you benefit off of that for free? Because Epic Games also, which is another level of grossness, Epic Games also has their own storefront that they also, although it's a smaller percentage, take a percentage of all sales that are on that platform.
Right.
And it's not like all this reads to me as they speak like they're against having a monopoly, but then they do things like Epic Store exclusives, right? If you don't want a monopoly, then why do you have exclusives on your platform? Just because your attempt at having a monopoly is less effective doesn't mean that you can then pretend that you're against the concept of a monopoly.
I think the interesting thing with this is, well, so one of the bits in the Bloomberg article here is that it points out that in lots of other industries like Spotify or whatever, that you can get a Spotify premium account and log in and like download Spotify for free on Apple, and they don't get a cut of that. As opposed to at some point, I think you could only log into Spotify on iOS if you bought the premium through iOS or something like that. And there's like a bunch of other things like that. So it's definitely one of those things where there's, at that point on Apple's side, there's they've set the precedent differently in different like corners of the market, like in the music and other thing. I don't remember what the other examples were besides Spotify, honestly. But so that, but then also the thing is like in reality, Apple can just do it anyway, you know, they can set their own terms of service. So like there's nothing objectively wrong with what they're doing. Epic Games doesn't have to like it, but yeah, you know,
it's just weird because they're treating this ecosystem, this Apple ecosystem, like it's an open forum. Like just because so many people own it that it should then therefore be this open source thing that's, you know, like anarchy or whatever, right? It's like 1 billion people have this thing, so therefore you owe it to us to allow us to do what we want with it or whatever, right?
I think in my mind though, it reads more of as a strike in some regards than it does I don't know, whatever it actually is. So then the two examples I'm thinking of are, it feels very similar to when Sony tried to take Spider-Man back from out of the MCU, because it was fully within their right to, you know, they could just be like, we want to make the Spider-Man movies at this point. And they were allowed to do that, but people were obviously vocally upset, and enough, like, to the point where they were like, all right, fine, we'll give in. It feels like a very similar thing there, where like everybody's within their right to do these things. Technically, the only people not within their right was Epic to undercut it if they agreed to the terms and service and stuff. But they can disagree with them wanting to have those things for sure.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, like, care. Even that they went against the terms of service. And I don't care about that. What I care about is that they're trying to make it this woe is me.
Right.
The big bad corporation is striking down on the little guy. Also, fellow $1 billion corporation. Like, I hate that. Like, it's so
I did
stupid.
see, and somebody, I think it was Greg Miller, tweeted out saying that, like, this is the benefit of this is that, like, maybe they're fighting for the little guy, you know, because like there's all these smaller developers or whatever.
They're not. It will have that effect, but they're fighting for their bottom line.
Right.
They're fighting because they don't want to pay out that 30%. Right. And that's the thing, that is what I don't like. I think that this will have good and bad repercussions for everybody involved, but I do not like the fact that they're trying to market this as they're the good, like they're good people in this, because they're not. Like, they're just as slimy. But it's going to have benefits for people down the ladder if it turns out in everybody's favor or whatever.
And especially because, like, I mean, and it's not like Epic Games hasn't had their own I don't know how recently the controversies were and stuff, but like Hassan Minaj on the Patriot Act thing had a whole episode about pretty much Fortnite and their like super crunch culture and that kind of stuff, which maybe is better at this point. I haven't heard talked about it in a long time, so no clue. But like those kinds of things where it's like, that's, you know, that's not a good look for you guys to have that going on either. So I think best case scenario for me in all of this is that out of this does come you know, better profits, or like they take 20 instead of 30 or 15 instead of 30% for especially like the smaller games, or maybe that they even have like a barrier of entry of like, we'll only start taking whatever, because 30% or of Epics, who cares?
Here's the thing that I think is the best case scenario here. Make it a tiered system and allow the option. Say, hey, Fortnite, multi-billion-dollar product. If you don't want to deal with this 30% cut, pay us an upfront thing. Pay us $1 billion a year or whatever. I mean, that's probably way too much, but you know, like pay us whatever flat fee for us to continue to service your app on our platform. Or if you don't want to do that, then do the percentage thing, and maybe even make that tiered. Say after you hit this much earned, the percentage lowers or whatever, right? After you surpass $1 billion, instead of 30%, it's 15%, so on and so forth. Like,
I mean, which honestly, something sort of like that, I guess, is what Epic does themselves as being with Unreal Engine 5 or 4. Because, like, I think they announced something along the lines of that with Unreal Engine 4, it's going to be free up till the first such and such number of money you make. Like, if you make a game with Unreal Engine 4, you can do stuff with it, you know, that kind of stuff. So, like, they definitely, whether it's one of those things where like you can't really know what people's motives are behind things, so like you can't necessarily say it's what's a philanthropic move versus it being like,
I guarantee you it's not.
And who,
I guarantee you because again,
but at the same time, if it does help the little guy, then like cool, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yeah, that's what it is. It's like because they step with that foot forward. They say these other guys suck because they charge you 30%, but we charge you 12%. Come to our store. Like, give us your money. It's less money, but give it to us. You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see how all this shakes out, and I mean, especially the xCloud thing's really interesting. I mean, I think in this Bloomberg article or somewhere as well, they mentioned that like probably all of this is a bit of a drop in the bucket, even for Apple, where like it probably won't change anything. Maybe it'll change something with
The
Fortnite
only thing
specifically,
but I don't think Apple. Just given by the fact that they immediately said, "Oh, okay, you're going to go against our terms of service," yeet, and took the app off the App Store, does not like. They don't care how big of a player you are,
right? Yeah,
the only thing that's going to change.
They've got Candy Crush. They've got all sorts of other games that, like,
right.
Even if Fortnite is their biggest, it's not their biggest in the same like margin of difference that like some other platforms that may be the case. Where like we've got like 6 biggest ones, and you're one of them. Apple's like, all right, we'll have the next biggest one next week.
Also, it's the same thing as like YouTube, right? Where like the big creators or creators in general think that they're a lot more important to the bottom line of YouTube at this point than they actually are. Because it's like, all right, maybe you'll stop making videos, PewDiePie, but we got thousands of cat videos to make up for where you left. You know, it's like, all right, dude, which sucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's true. It's like the creators already did the thing that is with what we're like most important for, which is attracting that initial boom of people and giving them the reason to know about what YouTube is. But now it's in the, it's in the public consciousness. Everybody knows what YouTube is. That's that's second place, if not first place now to Google. Oh, I need to know what a thing is. I'm going to YouTube it, right? You don't need creators on a service like that.
Yeah. The thing, going back to the xCloud thing real quick too, I think Apple's argument of why they're not having xCloud, like, really, it's
dumb.
It's very so stupid. Dumb.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's one of those where it's like, yeah, I understand that you can say that, and that, which it is, that they're like, we want to make sure that we've like judged or like checked off every single game that comes, so that we don't have anything coming on this. There's so many games on that come to the Apple store that's like, okay, and
it's not even just games.
Barely.
Like somebody who freaking said this. Somebody said it. I'm sorry.
It's probably
I can't remember who it is, but somebody was like, they don't do that with streaming services.
Right.
They're not like, oh, all right, Netflix, we gotta go through all 20,000 movies or whatever and make sure that they're on the up and up on our end.
Right.
It's like,
no, it's that they have Apple Arcade and they want people to pay for Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
And they don't want people to pay for or to have the access to xCloud for free or whatever, So like, I wonder, even if I would wonder if xCloud or if Microsoft probably tried to make an agreement with them of like, you guys will get, 10% of xCloud sales or something like that. That would go through them, but still it's too much of a competitive service that they'd rather just not have it at all and have their own things going on.
And I think that, honestly, that's probably the thing that they take more issue with. I think it's because there's no point of purchase with xCloud. It's like they get no benefit from that, which I think from a corporation standpoint is fair. I personally would prefer for them to put xCloud on there because it's cool, right? But I get it. I get them wanting to be like, oh, you want to have this, you want to freaking you want to have your cake and eat it too, huh? It's like, I don't know, like if xCloud was $1 or whatever, right? And like they still did that, then I'll be like, all right, now you're just being petty, right? But I can see a legitimate argument for them to be like, well, what do we get out of this? Like you're cannibalizing our service and also we get nothing for it. Nah, we're good.
It is hard because there's such a fine line between what things are just like allowed through capitalism but feel gross versus what things are like actually wrong, because like so many things, Jeff Bezos having the billions and billions of dollars he has is allowed through capitalism, but it's gross. You know what I mean? Like, and if to the point where like, once it gets to a certain point, even if it's allowed, it still feels almost unethical, where it's like, that's actually, I mean, at that point, the like tax kind of stuff, the fact that, whatever, that's,
he pays less
like
tax
nothing in tax. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, who does not pay taxes, even a little bit? Samus, not a single tax.
We don't know that.
She doesn't have to. She's exempt as a bounty hunter for the Galactic Federation.
I need to see your source.
The Galactic Federation a thing. I said that, but I don't know. Metroid people will be mad at me. I have yet to play a full Metroid.
All 3 of them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ha, ha,
So here we go.
ha.
So that said, the thing that we actually are talking about here is Metroid Prime 4 is a game, and
sure is.
they're
Or is it?
high.
Is it?
It's just a conglomeration of people that like to talk about theoretically having Metroid.
That's true.
And they need a new lead producer to theoretically talk about Metroid with. And
Mhm.
that's the whole news, is they're hiring somebody, and
That's
it's kind
the
of
news.
it's anti-news because
Because
they
it's
already have
always
one.
the news.
So they just
always, every single time, the whole time we've been, since this game has been in existence, people that don't understand game development, us included, are like, isn't it too late to have this position hired or whatever? Like, because they don't publicize when they're like, we had this lead producer this whole time, we don't have him anymore, or whatever, right? So we're replacing them, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they got to replace their vision and blah 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 and all that.
I mean, and
so
also
we
like
don't know how
they
far
can
along the game
have.
is.
I think they can have multiple lead producers.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, like and at the same time too,
because it also doesn't say like what aspect of the production they're leading,
because it could be that it's like we had somebody this whole time that was taking care of the single player, but we're doing multiplayer and we need somebody to head up that specifically or something like that. I think
it's
the
like
only
having
thing
a VP in a company, right? If freaking Apple is hiring a VP, that doesn't mean that they're firing Phil Schiller or whatever the heck his name is. They're just like, they could be hiring an freaking, what is it called? I forgot what I was already talking about. VP. They could be hiring a new VP for their cloud gaming, you know, like they could be doing that. So
I think the only thing to me that this does mean is just that it's confirmation that the game
is not canceled.
Well, yes, the game is not canceled, but also like there's, you know, a little part in the back of my mind that's like, maybe, you know, they had more already salvage and stuff, and they could get it out sooner than we'd been anticipating, which is like, you know, 2022 or something like that probably is what it is. But like, maybe they could surprise us and be done sooner than later. And this just means no, there's if they're still hiring a lead producer, it doesn't mean they're just now getting started, but it does mean that they're not just about done either. So it just means that, they really did restart in 2018 or no, in 2019. And that's fine, you know. Whatever.
And they could have had multiple restarts, right? Where like they restarted and said, we're starting from scratch. And then they did that, and then they got to a certain point, and they're like, all right, we like this, but we're going to restart this part of this specific restart and do this over again. And we're going to shift this vision on this part of the game to be more this, you know.
We do actually have a question from Falcon on Twitter who asked about this, and I figured instead of pulling on the Q&A part, which we have a Q&A. If you never listen to the full podcast and just listen to bits and pieces of it, we do a Q&A section at the end, and you can ask us questions. And sometimes if they're related topics, we'll just shove them in there like this one. So Falcon asked, Retro Studios is hiring a lead producer. With that being said, how much longer would you guesstimate it would be before we see a launch for Metroid Prime 4? Also, with Nintendo saying they plan to support Switch for about 10 years, what do you think we'll likely see as far as releases are concerned for the theoretical second half before Nintendo Swap is released? Then there's a couple more questions. Actually, I'm going to pull... I'm going to grab the rest and stick them down in the Q&A because they're very good questions, but they're a little broader than this news topic.
Specifically.
Okay. So just that first question in that case, and then we'll get to the rest later.
I think that it's less of like a set date in my head and more of like a spectrum. I think no sooner than 2022. No way. Possibly no sooner than 2023. But I could see it go as far as being like 2026.
Man, I don't know if I could see that, but also at the same time, with having been out of the loop for so long, my whole view of Nintendo stuff, I think is more truncated than, because like, again, I've really only been super paying attention since the launch of the Switch. So the feeling of waiting till 2026 is insane.
It's just because in my mind, I think that 2026 is worst case scenario.
Oh yeah, right.
But unless they just outright cancel it, which is really
I feel like at that
scenario.
point,
But
yeah.
I doubt it. I don't think that they're going to do that. This game to me is reading like, for them, it's Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
It's Zelda games.
Fully
it's
agree.
that sort of thing where they don't necessarily care about like deadlines and how well the game is going to perform and all that stuff, because it's a prestige piece. It's hey, we can do freaking Halo 2, or like we can do Destiny, you know, like we can do these huge games that, you know, are like technical showpieces for their platform. So for me, it just seems like they can keep kicking the date further and further and further forward, and it won't be a huge deal.
I think, I'm totally with you there. And I think that it will have a multiplayer mode. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've seen seems to definitely hint at that, but I think it's, especially after the success of like Splatoon and all that, I think that's something that they're like, yeah, we want to double down on. But I mean, I would see, my guess would have been like 2022, 2023. I wouldn't have anticipated it being any later than that. But at the same time, like you said, I agree that I think this is really important to them. And at this point, because they restarted it, it kind of gave them an out to be able to push it out as far as they want to, because like now we're not waiting for the initial, like it was announced and then like that arc. Now it's just like, we don't even know where it's at.
Yeah. Cause like, just look at the development of Breath of the Wild, right? That game was more or less announced as Zelda Wii U in 2011. That game didn't come out until 2017. And that game didn't have a very public, hey, we know we announced this game, but we got to restart, right? So,
I mean, I think, Game Awards 2014 was probably the first time that it was like, okay, here's like the vision of the game. And then at that point, it was still 3. Well, no, I guess not quite 3. Yeah, 3 years. Well,
it was like 2 years.
2 and a bit, because end of 2014, beginning of, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, man.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
I think we could have saw 6 years without the reset. I think we can see a little bit longer than that with it.
So, yeah, I think, honestly, we couldn't have, like, based on what they were obviously trying to do with it. I wonder if the reset helped them decide to turn it into more of a prestige piece, because like it's, I don't know, like I think
just the fact that they even did a reset says that from the beginning they saw it as a prestige piece.
Yeah, I could see that,
because they didn't have to announce anything like that. If, just as bad as it would have been. I mean, because like in the beginning or whatever of the announcement, everybody's going to be pissed. People weren't as mad because they're like, hey, man, we're going to restart this. And I think that's very clear that like them saying that and being like, I'm sorry, but like we got to reset it is telling people like, oh, shoot, they care about this game. And they don't really have to, because it's Metroid, and Metroid doesn't really sell that well. The fact that they were willing to do that in the first place, instead of just ripping off the Band-Aid and saying like, yeah, we know you're going to be pissed off, but we're scale bound in this thing. I'm sorry.
Right.
It has to eat.
Yeah. I honestly, I've been thinking about eventually, I don't know, probably wait till there's any kind of actual news, but I legitimately think this will be the best selling Metroid game, hands down, ever. Like,
for sure.
And by a good mile, you know, like,
I think that this can be their Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I think that it can be like the thing of like, Metroid games don't really sell that well. I don't know if it's going to do freaking 10 plus 20 million, 20 million.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I think lifetime it's going to do like 8 million, which is like 4 times
we haven't
as
seen
much
it,
as like the top seller or whatever.
Right. So yeah, that would be fun. At some point, we've been talking with Rob from Rule to Review about coming on the podcast at some point. So that would be, if there's no news by then, we could just, that could
talk
be
about
a conversation, because he happens to love.
I'm curious to know what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, because
the estimate is.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but we don't have to estimate what the NPD results from July were, because we already know.
Shoot.
And
transition this episode.
Yeah, man, we've got some stuff here. Actually, we don't have as much from this NPD results. I feel like we've gotten from some other ones, specifically in regards to hardware. Because normally we'll see, like, I mean, we know Switch was the top, but overall, one of the things I thought was interesting was gaming spend for July 2020 versus July 2019 is up 32%, but gaming hardware spend is down 2%. And I feel like that's 100% to do with, well, A, stock issues, but B, just the fact that like next gen's coming out, so people aren't buying PS4s and Xbox Ones. So probably Switch, the gap is pretty huge between Switch and PS4 and Xbox One, just because people are holding out for, you know, the next ones and stuff. But yeah, that stuff. But then also the more Nintendo focused one is just the fact that Paper Mario, the Origami King, sets new launch month records for the franchise, and it beats Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door, which, interestingly enough,
I feel like it's super petty to point that out.
It's very petty. I thought the same thing, because it's not
the best-selling one. Yeah. so to bring that up, to be like it beat Thousand-Year Door is like, all right, dude.
Apparently, yeah. So Matt Piscatella had tweeted this out because he does the NPD stuff, and he retweeted after, and he's like, I did a filter wrong, forgot to note that Super Paper Mario was between the two. So it's still true. This is still the best-selling one, but it still feels like, yeah, that was definitely more SEO to say Thousand-Year Door, you know, and like more clickbaity, but it's true. So like, there's nothing wrong with that.
It is true. It's definitely true, but it's petty. I mean, I'm not above it, because I was going to be petty too. I was going to say that like this is the nail in the coffin for them ever doing like a Thousand-Year Door 2 sort of situation. It's never going to happen at this point. Because like now they know it's not the question of like, this isn't Paper Mario enough. It's just, is this a gameplay style that we specifically want for this game? And I think most people, after playing the game, embrace the gameplay more so than they disliked it.
Yep. There will be like a couple people that'll be interesting to see. Like the people, I mean, obviously the most vocal personality, I think, on this whole thing is probably like Arlo and a couple other YouTubers along those lines. But it'll be interesting to see like what their thoughts were on it, because like, I don't really care. I'm enjoying the game regardless. I know I didn't play Thousand-Year Door, so I might have liked that one more, but I like this game a lot. So like, who really cares? But it'll be interesting to see.
I think that even those like personalities and stuff are not gauging this game by, this game's bad. They're gauging this game by, this game isn't Thousand-Year Door. And like, that's a non-starter. It's like, yeah, it's not, because it's not trying to be. And all this is saying is that they're too, you know, to the numbers and like not in the grand scheme of things, or to me, because this doesn't sound mean. Their opinion doesn't matter. What they want Paper Mario to be would have had more weight if this game didn't greatly outsell their vision for what Paper Mario should be.
I mean, honestly, same goes for like Fire Emblem Awakening or whatever, where it was the thing that saved the franchise, and some hardcore fans, to my understanding, again, I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, but
like some hardcore fans were mad because like, this isn't the thing that you're doing things in a different direction. But at the same time, it's like, but that's what saved the franchise. So like,
exactly. Those are like, I would say that less so I would compare them to that, because I think even more so those Fire Emblem fans, again, this is going to sound mean, but I'm sorry, dude, there's no other way to phrase it. They don't matter as much as like the fans of even Thousand-Year Door, because those are the fans of the game when the game didn't sell, you know, and was about to not have US releases anymore. So for them to be like, I liked it when it was super like weird and not marketable or whatever, right?
What a good pitch.
Like, what are you going to do? like of course they're not going to like bend to their will. And I mean, it's related to the Metroid thing too, right? Because like a lot of people are like, I don't want them to make it like Halo more or less, or any like big shooter or whatever, because it's a shooter. I'm sorry. But yeah, like they're going to do what they think is going to win over the most people possible. And this kind of shows that the original Paper Mario gameplay loop or whatever is not what the masses necessarily want from it.
Which honestly, I mean, the Halo comparison I think is a good one too, where like, even just with in a different way, even with the reveal for Halo Infinite, there were a bunch of people that were looking at it and were mad at the graphics or whatever, that it wasn't what they wanted it to be. But then the people that were just watching for just the gameplay were like, oh, but the gameplay looks really fun. And that's the thing
that's the thing. Like, it's kind of the inverse of that, which is weird because like, I don't know which, in Halo's case, which market matters more. because back in those days,
Yeah.
where those fans that are super excited about that, you know, like the people that are like, man, Halo really died after Halo 3 or whatever, right? Or some within that are like Halo Reach, I guess.
Yeah.
Like those people are excited about this game or about Halo Infinite because it looks like those Halos.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, this is really giving me the vibes of that game. So because those are the best selling ones and they're winning over that fan base, does that mean that this game's potentially going to do better? Or because it's like turning off the masses, does this mean that it's going to do worse? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of the inverse of the Paper Mario thing where it's like, 1,000-year door, even after freaking Super Paper Mario, which kind of already proved, I think was the inciting thing for Nintendo to be like, oh, we can do different things now. This doubles down on that idea.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting. And definitely, yeah. I'll be interested just to see kind of like as it pans out how it kind of finishes up, because like I think everybody agrees it's a good game. You know, like even if I don't know. Duncan obviously loves Paper Mario. He did a lot of stuff about it, and he loves it. And he also loves 1,000-Year Door. So you know what? Just listen to Duncan. Don't even worry about anybody else.
It's true. Just listen to Duncan, dude.
Yep.
Go into Discord and just listen to Duncan.
Yeah. Duncan could be playing Paper Mario. Maybe he would be playing Fall Guys. But you know where he's now playing it? On Switch. That's for sure.
It's true.
But will he maybe one day? That's what we're going to talk about. I don't know, Duncan, I don't know if you've been playing Fall Guys at all, but just thank you for humoring me and being.
I think he probably tried it.
Seems like a fun time. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this in general. I've been watching some Fall Guys stuff because like a bunch of the Mario Maker streamers that I enjoy watching in the background are playing Fall Guys now. Oh, wow. And it seems to be doing quite well for them, which is very, I mean, it has like a similar kind of vibe of just like lighthearted, you know, fun variety of things. But yeah, apparently it's exclusive to PS4 and it's on PC.
It's true.
But
me and Bob and Dan and Scootish and E and Wood and who else streamed? We streamed it with a bunch of different people when it came out, and then also last week. We're going to stream recently. A lot, I'm sure. But yeah, I've been having fun. It's a fun game.
It seems like a fun game. I don't have anything to play it on, but I'd like to at some point. So if it comes to Switch, cool. You know, that's all. They said they want to at some point, but I'm sure it's just an exclusivity deal. It's Evolver Digital. They do a ton of stuff on Switch, so it's just that PlayStation got an exclusivity deal, I'm sure, and then that's it. So it'll take a while, up to a year.
Be like the Rocket League sort of thing.
Yeah. Was it a year for Rocket League before that came to other places?
I don't even know.
Because
I'm pretty sure
you could probably have it.
I think it was PC and it was this situation.
Yeah, exactly.
It was PC and PlayStation 4, and then it eventually came to Xbox One, and then it came to Switch after a while because they're like, well, now we can put it on Switch, but can it run on Switch? And then they got it to work, and then it came out. I don't know if this is that. You know, like I don't know if this game can't run. I know people are going to be like, but the online Fortnite again. It's like it's on Switch, and that's more people, and it's, I would say, a more complicated game.
So it looks like I'm looking it up too, just to see like how long the exclusivity seemed to be for Rocket League, and it was about 6 months or so. So I'd say don't expect to hear anything for at least 6 months. Feels about right to me.
Yeah,
but you know, whatever. But that's
it definitely sounds like an exclusive thing because like if it wasn't an exclusive thing, I think that they would be more willing to say specific platforms. But all they're like is it's coming to other platforms. Or we want to put it on other platforms. Right. Which sounds super like
we can't say anything about anything.
Yeah. We can't say the word Nintendo. PlayStation has people at our homes.
Yep. Exactly. So. But yeah, that's it for the news, y'all. There very little happened this week, but we had a good old time. You setting up your computer and me doing other things. So,
that's true.
But now we get to the next part of the video, or the next part of the podcast, which is you guys leave some comments on videos,
which is also a video.
That's true, and we talk about those. So here we go. AJ, you made a video.
I did indeed.
Do you want to give a quick summary of
what is my video about?
It's it was in response to me and Max and our
Oh yeah, it was
thing.
about the freaking the 2020 Nintendo Switch not having enough games and all that. And
Yeah.
That's what it was. That was
That's
my
what it was.
video.
Okay, good stuff. Well, let's look at some comments and talk about them.
Let's do it.
M567DK said, "Forgive me for saying this, but I feel like you're truly trying to just make excuses for Nintendo for this entire situation. Yes, the current circumstances has hurt."
I resent that.
Yeah, we'll keep going. And
I just don't like the beginning of that. This whole first sentence is like, I think, unnecessary. You couldn't be like, I think you're making excuses. But I feel like you were truly trying to just trying to is like, it's kind of incendiary for no reason.
Way to go, AJ. You're just making excuses for yourself now.
Yeah, it's true. Go ahead.
Who would even?
Keep
Yes, the current circumstances has hurt gaming in a way, but Nintendo has a long-standing problem with communication when it comes to the company and its fans. Nintendo has 2 other offices outside of Japan. However, they are more of a front for the main Japan office, but they could have been more like their competitors and at least tried their best to ask the other international offices for help on making new Nintendo games instead of relying on Japan. We'll come back to that. I mean, if it wasn't for Sega of America, then we may not have had Sonic 2. This entire situation needs to be a wake-up call for Nintendo and at least learn to trust their other offices in the company to help out when it comes to future game projects. While the situation is a bit understandable, at times like this, Nintendo should be called out for lack of communication.
All caps.
Yes, should be called out for lack of communication after so long, regardless of what the true game plan is. All caps.
All right. I disagree. First of all, the bulk of this video didn't really even have anything to do with coronavirus. Like, I went out of my way to not really focus on that, because the core of the argument is like, oh, they're not making enough announcements for me specifically, and I don't have enough games, and blah blah blah. And at the same time, and so many people are guilty of this, including both of you, Max, being like, I don't have enough games. I have too many games, though. My backlog is ridiculous. But announce more games, please. And also to point out the fact that while we don't know the holiday and all their crap and blah blah blah, we got the same amount of games that we normally get, and we got already a huge holiday game. Whether or not you want that game doesn't really matter, because the same thing happened in 2018, but we didn't have a coronavirus, and people weren't being like, Nintendo needs to plan out their freaking announcements more, because despite the fact that they didn't have E3 or whatever, if they had E3 and their whole E3 was about Animal Crossing or whatever, right, you would still be upset. So it really doesn't have anything to do with that, and you need to recognize that they're not going to plan their year so that it just pleases you. They're going to plan their year so that it sells their console. And in a situation like this, where there's no benefit other than to get a very small snippet of their fan base hype about a freaking game that may or may not hit the date that they market, they're still going to make their money, right? All it is a net negative for them to say, hey, freaking Metroid Prime 4 coming out next year, because you want to be hype about something. And then next year, they're like, it's not coming out next year. It's coming out. It'll be 6 months, though. They're just kicking the ball down the field. Being hype is cool. It's great. It's a fun time. But they're trying to be functional. And also, it's not true that the other companies operate in a different way. They're just centralized in a different area. Sony and Microsoft still rely on one part of their company. It just so happens to be Western based, though. And it's just honestly more selfish than it is being smart to be well, they need to center their market around us, that is, there's no real reason to do that. Because then we would just have them trying to be Sony.
I think,
and that's less interesting.
I've got a lot of thoughts. Some of them are that I don't know that I even like was very articulate or nuanced with my opinion. Because I think the thing is like, yeah,
and that's kind of why I made the video, because
Right.
it's like, and that's why I don't like the beginning of it, because
right.
and this has been the trend
Mm-hmm.
for my last couple of videos or whatever, right? Where people want to boil down my argument to just defending Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Right.
both of these videos, I'm like, Nintendo should probably do this more. But
I,
also, you
right.
know, like,
I think the tricky thing is like it's a lot easier and whatever for anybody, like, and a lot of other YouTube videos will do this or something, of just taking one perspective of it, and that there's just not just one perspective of it, as far as like
making
it's
a,
easy
making
to say
a straw man out of it, to say,
right,
this is what your opinion ultimately boils down to, and I'm going to attack that.
yeah,
or
or I mean
attack
even
it
just
from
saying
there.
like, here's, you know, like it's very easy, and also I mean even relatable to say like, I need more games to play from Nintendo. And that's like, that could be a valid thing for you to say in an opinion, like obviously,
Right.
but at the same time, that's very separate from me also, like, and I'm pretty sure I tried to say this eloquently last time, but maybe I didn't either, of like, Nintendo's going to be fine. From Nintendo's perspective, they're doing fantastic. Like this isn't affecting them at all in the sense of like their actual like profit margins and all that kind of stuff. Like in the long run, if it keeps going down the road this way, then yeah, sure, Animal Crossing will fall off. If they still don't announce anything, they could have a bad holiday season because they
Right.
don't have new stuff coming out. They would still do fine because they have tons of backlog and they could just have cheaper consoles and stuff like that. But ultimately, they've been able to ride out this season with just Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But, and so like, I think there's the three perspectives. One of from Nintendo as a corporation, that they're fine. Fans who have been around for forever and like feel like they don't have a backlog, which is surprising to me, but nevertheless that, or then me who like, I'm fine. And I understand both of those and want them to reconcile with each other. But at the same time, it's like, I think that's my main thing is like, is there a way for those two sides to reconcile? Like Nintendo, who is fine, to still be able to appease to these people, but then also these people to understand the Nintendo side. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the thing. I don't even think Nintendo's operating from a mindset that's like, well, we're good. I
Right,
don't think
yeah.
that they're freaking like washing their hands of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They want to make announcements, but they also don't want to make the situation worse for themselves by making
right.
people even more mad at them for making promises that they don't think they can keep. Like it does nobody any favors for them to announce games just for the sake of announcing games.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. And I think whatever I was going to say as well.
Like, look at Microsoft. Like
Halo,
how can
exactly.
You have this? How can you?
Last
have
of Us
this
2, same thing when that happened.
Yeah. How can you have this whole mindset of like, well, they need to be more like the other companies, and the other companies are just as bad, if not worse. Yeah. Like, I even brought up the whole thing of like, look at when Switch launched. Sony, the best case scenario in this situation, was in the same boat. They had one notable launch that year, and it was Horizon Zero Dawn. That's their Animal Crossing, and it sold half as much as Animal Crossing did on a platform that even then had significantly more units sold than Switch does now. So it's just like, I don't get the argument. I don't get it. I don't get how you can be like, well, they don't, blah, blah. Obviously, in the year where you're launching a console, you have your ducks in a row a lot better than a company that wasn't expecting a freaking global pandemic. And we know that Nintendo, more often than not, works close to the release, right? Yeah. They're working up until they absolutely can't anymore. That's how they work. They're not like, okay, unless it's a game that they're like, okay, well, we're going to do Pikmin, right? And then we're going to try to hold on to this until a date where it makes more sense for us to market that in a different like marketing environment. But for the most part, they're not making games just in case. So it's like, oh shoot, all right, break the glass, announce Ice Climbers HD. You know, it's like they're not doing that. They have their roadmap and they announce it when the game is ready to be announced.
The thing I was going to say before too, it reminds me a bit of like if you're painting something or whatever, and you just try to like get everything you can out of that last paintbrush stroke before you like. So, well, Ashley and I have been painting some stuff recently, and it's been fun. I posted some pictures on Twitter because they're fun. They're downstairs. I thought it was right back there. But like, yeah, so I've got a little glob of paint in the thing, and then I'll like pick it up and, use it. But I'm like, I've got just this little square, and I don't want to squirt a whole new thing of paint in there. So I'll just try to use the last bit that's in there and fill out that bit. I feel like similarly with Nintendo, they're trying to, at this point, they know people want to hear stuff, but they're like, let's try to get what we have right now to close up the gap until we're able to give some solid release dates for things. We know some people aren't super happy with us right now, but enough other people are that like, we'll just have to bide our time anyway. And then we make an announcement.
And I also think that they're making moves now to lower the impact for 2021. Cause that's when stuff's going to suck. Right. Like that's when we're going to start running dry on announcements because of now. Yeah. Right. So they're like, okay, we got freaking, I don't know. We got a new Zelda game. We got a freaking Link to the Past remaster in the style of Link's Awakening. But it would be a way better 2021 holiday game than it would be an October release for 2020, so like they can kick that down the road.
The other thing from this comment too, just to bring up as far as having the other international offices to help for making new games and stuff, it's not A, that simple, and B, they don't have, to my knowledge, that many other international offices that aren't
just marketing arms.
Yeah, exactly. Or second parties or, that kind of thing, like Retro or whatever. But Retro's not going to step in and, I mean, they could step in and help a little bit.
Their only Western, like, dedicated development studio is Retro Studios.
And then otherwise they've got second party ones like Next Level or something like that. But like that's just not.
They're not going to drop whatever they're working on to help everybody else work on what they're working on. Right. And because of the fact that all of their studios work in the same way that PlayStation does and what Xbox is hopefully working towards, they all work closely together. They're all helping each other out on all these games. And because it's ultimately a Japanese company, that's going to boil down to their culture and how those things are usually.
And especially because they're so tight-lipped and stuff to our understanding, like as far as even as recently as the 3DS, the development kits were bolted down into their desks that they couldn't bring them anywhere else because it was, like too risky and, so that stuff didn't leak and all that kind of thing. So like that said, if you're expecting a company that bolts their hardware down to the desks to be like, let's just get some people from across the ocean,
But even then, like, I would even remove it from that. It's not up to us or whatever to say, like, I think it would be better for that company to change their values.
Right. Yeah.
Who are we to say that? The reason why we like this company is because of the things that they've made, and the things that they have made have been made possible by their values. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
And I mean, also too, again, like we would love hype. I still love the Devolver Direct from this year because it was so. Did you watch the Devolver Direct? I assume.
I think so.
It was a month ago or something like that. But it was like,
sure I did.
The whole like theme of it was like, I need more hype and stuff. And
yeah.
And that was like, man, it was very topical. But I feel like, we love having hype and stuff, but I think still Nintendo, for them, as far as a business, they're planning out this year and the future as best as they can with
trying to garner hype on what they have now for now, because again, they got to spread things out. They can't plan ahead like they could before, because we don't know what ahead even is right now. We, as individual people, don't know what is ahead right now.
I mean, except for the Direct next week. But besides that, we don't know what's ahead next week.
Obviously. But yeah, like we could be going on lockdown 2 weeks from now. I cursed us. It's happening. But and they don't know that, right? So they got to try to develop with that in mind.
Yep. So there's that. Next comment. This comes from Cool. What's up, Cool? Who said, "Here comes a thought. What if Nintendo has some stuff ready or close to being ready to launch, but they're holding on to them to blow our minds with them when everyone is focused on the next gen consoles, kind of like their trump cards. Also, games from Nintendo have like 7 to 8 from. Also, games from Nintendo I have like 7 to 8 from their exclusives, looking to buy more in the not so near future. From the eShop, I have about 10 games. Honestly, if the Apex Legends Switch port plays as well as it does on PS4, I'm never touching my PS4 again. It's the only game I play on it. Okay. Because you asked about how many games people have.
Yeah,
on
I
their
asked
Switch.
everybody
I
how
was
many
like,
games they have.
what's the context of this? So
because I wanted to illustrate, and also
The backlog
just because
thing.
I was curious, not the backlog thing, but just
the attach rate and all that.
like what the attach rate means,
Yep.
because a lot of people see that however many games are sold, and they think like, oh, this is the reason why all these games are sold, because everybody is always looking for a new game to play. But most people are not. Like most people are like, all right, dude, I got my Madden, I'm never buying another game. Like so that it was more so about that, not even necessarily a thing of like people that don't think of backlogs, and I don't even think of backlogs in that way, where it's like I have to finish every game I buy, you know, like that sort of thing. But just to be like, just because we are more so likely to always be looking for the next thing to buy and play, most people aren't. They're fine. So to be like Nintendo's going to fail if they don't announce new games all the time, it's just accurate.
Because I mean, the people that are buying, it's especially around holidays, people that are buying Switches are like probably 90% for gifts for other people and that kind of stuff, or because they got Christmas money or something, whatever, and less so for themselves, even though, well, I mean, if there's system sellers and stuff. But all that, I think the point I was going to make was, again, I was hanging out with Mitch yesterday, and he was saying how like he's got like he's playing Destiny 2 with some friends, and so he's got stuff going on there, and in Monster Hunter, to where like unless some new game came out that he was like, whoa, I need to buy that, then he very doesn't care about new games coming out because he's got all the gaming things that he needs, you know. And same for you with like Smash Bros or whatever.
Exactly.
Like the majority of people, I think,
are more like that.
Have stuff that they're kind of like, you know, like I have friends that have Rocket League and play that all the time or whatever. So it's
Fortnite, Overwatch, that sort of stuff.
So
sports games, Call of Duty.
I am a sports game. Gina Laurie said, I have around 35 games in total. And overall, I agree. This year may seem a little light, but games with such replayability as Smash or Animal Crossing are worth more in the long run. For me personally, Animal Crossing is the biggest Switch release to date. It's something I'll keep playing for the rest of the Switch's life, and as such, I can't really say 2020 was a bad year for me in that respect. I think it really comes down to what games someone personally values that makes or breaks a year.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I
2018
see a lot,
for you.
Exactly, by far. And it'll probably always be that, honestly, unless they do come out with this like freaking Breath of the Wild Pokemon game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, because every year, I don't know, just because, less so because I feel burned by this year, like people in the comments of that video were like suggesting, and more so because I don't know what to even expect from 2021 on any sort of level. But usually we do those videos of like 2020 and 2019 and 2018 are going to be great, and here's why. That sort of thing. Like, people in that 2018 video are like, no, it's not better than 2017 because blah, blah, blah. But for me, it was significantly better than 2017. Significantly, like quantifiably so.
Because of funky mode. Yeah, that's what got you. You just
clearly
love funky mode.
100%. And also the fact that my Smash Brothers playtime is like 5 times my Breath of the Wild playtime, and my Splatoon playtime, and my Mario Odyssey playtime combined. You know, like so for a game like that to come out in that year, to me, says that year had a huge impact on at least me personally. And I know plenty of people are the same way. And I know that we talk about all the time how like specifically like Max and sometimes you are more so annoyed by like the Smash fans that are so dedicated to that game. But the fact that fan base gets to that point should tell you that that's a pretty important game in the grand scheme of things. So like this,
I take myself out of whatever that comment was, by the way, because
I'm just saying, but you do it because you get annoyed by Smash announcements being the
Smash announcements.
Right. Whenever they're like the biggest thing in the direct, you Max always are like, that's annoying that they set them up like that. But that's why they do that, because that's how people are with directs, for better or worse.
Yeah.
When a direct happens, they're like, "Where's the Smash announcement?" Because that's how big of a deal that game is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, Gianna. Let me know which one.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't
It's
know.
one of the two, Gina or Gianna.
Yep.
Or maybe it's something completely different. But that's what Animal Crossing could be for her, and probably is, right?
Yeah.
Where Animal Crossing to us was a flash in the pan. It was like, all right, I'm putting my freaking 200-300 hours in this game, which is like a lot of time, you know,
Yeah.
but relatively a flash in the pan. Where it's like, all right, I put my 200-300 hours in the beginning of this game's life, and I'm probably never going to really touch it again. I'll hop in. I'll say hi to freaking meringue or whatever, right? Like, I'll do that, but I'm not playing this game in the way that people like Gianna or Gina or like how they play that game. But that doesn't really change the fact that this game is a big deal, and this year is a big deal because this is the year that game came out.
Yep.
Now if 2021 will be the same thing, I don't know, but.
I'd be curious.
I just centered that video around Animal Crossing's coming out in 2020. That's why it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say I'd be curious to see like what the attach rate is for people who bought in for a specific game. You know what I'm saying? So like people that bought in for Mario Odyssey, what's their library look like
how many
people,
games that
yeah, exactly.
I think it depends on the game, honestly.
Because Smash Smash and Animal Crossing probably the lowest. Like so many 100%. People just buying Animal Crossing, and they buy that, maybe Stardew Valley down the road at some point, and that's it, you know. And they're like, this is what gaming is to me. Like it's Animal Crossing. It's not, you know, like a whole sphere of different experiences. It's the Second Life that exists in, you know, or The Sims or something like that.
Right.
But then I don't know, if you buy Dark Souls, I mean, not that you'd buy a Switch for Dark Souls, but if you're somebody that buys Dark Souls, that's not the only game you're going to play. Right. You know, like undisputably, that's just not the case. So, yeah.
You're going to also buy Dark Souls 2 and
Dark Souls
3 and Bloodborne and Sekiro. Yep. You're just going to buy the same kind of game.
Yep.
But
in that order, but probably not the other way around. Casper3237 says 57 games, some completed, most on the backlog. I'm good on waiting. Yep, I feel you there. Alec is baking says 49 Nintendo Switch.
He's mad at me. He's mad. He doesn't like me as much as Bob anymore.
Oh no.
He said he used to like me more than Bob, but now he doesn't because I said I don't like root beer.
Oh, well, I don't like you as much as Bob anymore now.
It's fine.
Root beer's great.
Root beer's too sweet, dude. It's too sweet. If I'm
wrong.
drinking soda, I want it to be like more on the sour side. I want orange soda. I want Sprite.
I mean, I also like orange soda and Sprite, but
root beer too sweet, dude.
No, man. Root beer is the bomb. So Alec, I got you. I got you back. We're in this. He said, 49 Nintendo Switch games. I'm totally okay to wait for new games. Many of those 49 games are not finished. Pat Green said 45 digital and 7 physical. Finished maybe 4 of them. I've got work to do. Man, we're so bad. And then Jesse McCown says, I think I'm now at 200 or more. Yeah. I haven't counted. I should have gone and counted or seen how many I've got, but
I ain't got the time to go through and count how many games I got.
Oh wait, hang on.
You could count all my games too.
I could count all your games too. I'm not checking on. I made a list at some point, and
I have
it's
like 30. I'm not doing it. I think I have like 40 games installed.
I'm checking right now. Everybody, this is a news flash update or whatever. I don't know, something. What? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we go. I have got just over 60 games, probably because I think I haven't updated this list quite well enough in the past couple months. But probably I don't know, 65 games or so. And it says 43 of those are digital and 17 are physical. And again, that'll be probably a couple more in either direction, realistically. But as far as like which ones are finished or not finished and stuff like that, completed, guys, this is a spreadsheet. Y'all know that I'm serious about some spreadsheets. 28, and then the other ones are in various stages of like some of them I haven't started, some I have Actually, as far as not started, most of them I've started. Some of them are like ones I'll dip back into, like I don't know, Mario Maker or something like that, where I finished the story mode, but like I'm not gonna.
still
You
haven't
can't
done that.
finish that one, you know, in the same
Right.
way, or like
That's true.
Jackbox Party Pack or those kinds of things. But then as far as like actually haven't started at all, not many.
Mhm.
Dragon's Dogma, some of the ones from Christmas, and all that kind of stuff. Monster Boy, The Cursed Kingdom. There's my list. Hope y'all are
Wow,
happy.
Dan will be hurt.
I know. I bought it literally because I was like, oh yeah, everybody says
Dan
it's good,
likes this.
including Dan. But I haven't done it yet. So there's that. Any more thoughts on your video before we move on?
Nah, man. Just chill out, man. Just chill out. Games will come.
Yep. Again, direct is coming imminently. No,
Next week.
yeah. The thing is, like, even if at some point we're gonna probably have an indie direct or whatever, and if we have that before a general direct, which it's fine if we do, people are gonna be mad. A, B,
Yep.
people are gonna be mad because Nintendo, at least historically, has almost never brought an indie game back up in a second indie world presentation or whatever. It's pretty much they only ever introduce or announce like ports to the Switch. Like the first time you hear about it, it's in Indie World, or you've heard about it here and there, and then they like spotlight it in Indie World. But like we're not seeing Silk Song, we're not going to see Sports Story or any of those, or Skatebird or whatever in an indie direct again. So like as soon as it gets announced, everybody's always like,
I don't know.
mean, we very well might, because they can do whatever.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you can't.
It didn't happen until it did. Like
right.
that.
Yes, exactly. So like I would very much like to, but like as far as setting expectations, we should expect that we wouldn't, just so that, but like, cause every time people are like, oh cool, we haven't heard about Untitled Goose Game. We haven't heard about this, and this since the last time. And then it's like,
and we still will not.
Yeah. So, we'll see how that goes. I would very much like to see Silk Song and stuff get some news, but it'll take some time. So it is what it is. And then I made a video.
It's true, you did.
And
indeed.
there are some comments on this one. Mostly, yes. I'm not responding to a lot of the comments just because a lot of them is just like, it's just difference of opinion, and that's just totally fine, and I'm not going to be like, oh, I made this video and I think blah blah blah. It's like, no, right. You think this game is more valuable? That's cool. I'm down with that. This is just the list that I happen to make. But so I pulled some more kind of bigger picture ones. Also, lots of comments that are people correcting me on little things, which is totally fine. I appreciate the corrections. Some other comments. So like, for example, I accidentally said that 200cc was new to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but it was just that it was unlocked from the start, I think is the only difference. And then some other little things, but I don't remember what. So those kinds of things. But then, yeah, I don't know. But then there were these comments as well. And the other one I was going to say is people mentioned the Wonderful 101, and I responded to one of them, but a couple people mentioned the comment, so I'm not going to respond to all of them. But
it's always going to happen.
Exactly. I mean,
I respond to it one time. Oh yeah, that was the other. I got one This was an interesting situation.
Yeah.
Do you know who Did You Know Gaming is?
Yes. Yeah.
So they apparently shouted us out.
Oh, nice.
And so the guy comment. I'll get to that.
Okay.
The guy commented on our video, or on my video specifically, and was like, the audio levels on this are low. And I was like, yeah, I know. And this is the sort of comment that I will reply to once and never respond to anybody else.
The guy, just some random guy, or the guy from Did You Know Gaming?
No, it was just some random dude.
Okay, gotcha.
But I usually try to respond to things like that one time, so I can just hope that people
if
see
people
that
look
reply,
around, they'll
and then,
see it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, I know. It's because this mic requires more gain. The interface that I have right now doesn't have enough gain. I ordered the right interface. It's not here yet.
Yeah.
Period. And then the guy was like, okay, thanks. I like your videos. I came here after you guys got shouted out by Did You Know Gaming. I was like, or after the Did You Know Gaming shout out. And I was like, what? I was like, where was this?
Yeah.
And then he linked me to the video, and they did this like compilation or whatever of like their Pokemon facts. It's like 1 hour of Pokemon facts.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the video, and in the description, they link to our channel.
Oh, interesting.
Cool. Pretty neat.
Well, there you go. Is that was it like the hour-long Pokemon facts?
Right.
Interesting.
That's the one.
Well, there we go. Huh.
And I was
So
like,
they didn't
that's
specifically link to a
targeted.
specific video. It was just to
They just
the
linked to
channel
the
in general.
channel.
Okay.
Yeah, they linked to the channel.
Okay, and that was from a week ago. So I wonder if that has to do as well, like, because the video from this week's doing a bit better than other ones have. So hard to say
who knows, man.
who even knows.
It also
We'll find
seems
out.
like I mean, I brought it up to you, but it seems like YouTube does these like purges where it keeps serving a specific video of ours over and over and over again until it flatlines that video, and then that flatlines everything else, and then everything else brings the average up because the video that is getting a lot of attention gets less average retention, and then that tells YouTube people aren't watching your videos, and then people that who watch our other videos can't really do anything about that in the algorithm. So it evens out to our retention being low, and therefore YouTube being like, people don't like this channel. But when there's no video just artificially getting like boosted up in the system, we get a lot more retention time, and that raises our average up, and then that starts the cycle over again where they pick another video, hopefully more than one this time, to surface.
Yeah, so there you go. We'll see. So here's you guys' comments. In any case, I made a tier list of Wii U ports on the Switch that are Nintendo published. Yeah, the Wonderful 101, the reason I didn't include it was just because it's not Nintendo published on Switch. It's, Platinum obviously did it and all that stuff. So I was like, I don't feel like exactly. Yeah, I don't feel like dealing with that fiasco in this. So I'm just not going to. So easy enough. But
did you bring it up? You should have probably brought it up.
I should have. I had some bits that I was having to start editing later than I planned on. And I actually had some little gags that I had in there that I took out because I was like, these are going to require more editing than I have time for and take away from the actual like bulk of the video. So there were like 2 or 3 funny bits that I took out. I apologize, folks. I hope you still think that I sometimes do the funnies. Maybe the fact that I sound so much like Kermit will, make up for it.
Yeah, dude.
Somebody don't do that again. Ribbit.
It's true.
Ribbit's in the chat. But in any case, so the video, Wii U ports, and also a little bit of a soapbox of like why I don't think they're as, bad as people seem to think they are sometimes. And most people agree, I think, but I think there's still some people that think they're bad. We've got a comment that'll talk about that in a second, but we'll go ahead and get into these comments. Here we go. Adam Miller said, because I also asked at the end of the video, like, what about the rest of the Wii U ports, like Xenoblade Chronicles X or Super Mario 3D World and stuff like that? What do they need to like make them S tier? Adam Miller said, for the Super Mario 3D World port, the only thing it needs is online co-op. I think that's a no-brainer and would make the port worthwhile. However, additional characters would be nice, as would maybe a bonus post-game world or even just a few extra stages peppered around the minigame. The main game.
I agree. That would be dope.
Yep. Yeah, I think the more stages would be nice, especially like with the tie-in with Captain Toad, doing some slightly Mario Odyssey themed levels would be fun too, just like kind of bring that all back together.
Yeah. I think that the absolute most that I will possibly play this game is if they put online multiplayer, because then I'm kind of gotta play it. Like me and Bob would probably end up streaming that.
The only thing I wonder so this would still be the first like mainline Mario game that has online multiplayer.
Yeah, like for them to be like, I don't know if you want to do that with a port sort of situation.
Yeah, I don't with the
like
port,
they,
and then
like
also
they want to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing I'd be curious about is just if they would, but I think that would be something that would be, super beneficial.
That would be a
and
huge selling point. You can say that.
Yep. And I think, maybe like add maybe power-ups wouldn't work, but if you could add a new power-up, that would be fun. But like game levels are kind of based around those, so you probably can't.
Well, then again, they could do that if they add new levels and then they add a new power-up that's exclusive to those levels.
Yeah. Then again, I guess as far as they did add a new power-up to Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe because with Peach and stuff like that.
The
Super Crown. So it's like character specific. I think that would be one way to do it is like that, like, hey, you want to break the level? Go for it. Right. Break the level.
Exactly. Something to make it easier.
Yeah. So, which, not that game,
although
to my
that's already in there. That's all right. Like they have a power-up that kind of does that.
Right. So it would have to be like something different.
Wing
thingy. Are there like difficulty modes, like hard mode and stuff like that in that level?
I don't think so.
Because that could be something to do as well, just like different difficulty modes or like shuffling things up that's already there. Like that's a pretty easy, if you can, I mean, obviously people do like Nuzlocke challenges, you know, like those kinds of, not in Mario, but in Pokemon,
Right.
but like those kinds of artificial challenges are things that we do. Cause like, I want to play this game again, but the way it's designed, I've already played. So like, I want to play it a different way. But
Right.
if you take what's already there and change up the rules so that it becomes a new experience, because instead of like platforming being the hard part, it's now like timing of such and such thing or whatever, you know, like survival in Breath of the Wild. Like now eating is the hardest part, where like you have to make sure to eat enough food. I think, yeah, that's like a good way to entice players to return, is like you'll get to have a full new experience. Like with Pikmin 3, having the co-op is like just a legitimately new experience. Whether it's done well or poorly, that's going to be a new experience. Difficulty modes could be, maybe it's just easy and easier difficulty mode, and it's not an actual harder one, which
like an Abbott
would suck.
Donkey Kong sort of
right
thing.
Which at that point is like, that sucks for returning players, but it's great for new players, especially for like younger or, you know, less experienced ones. But yeah, that definitely seems to be the thing that Nintendo's doing a lot with these games, is dumbing them down a little bit more with like Funky Kong or whatever. But the people that are going to be the ones talking about it are the ones that want games to be harder in the first place. So I don't think a lot of them are in the position that I'm in, to where you can see my wife getting to play with Funky Kong and being like, oh, this is fun now. As opposed to like if she were playing with Donkey Kong, would not be. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on that. And we've got the next comment. You ready? Here it goes.
It's true.
This is from Big Dill, who says, I'm fine with the ports, but they carry the Switch way more than it should. Nintendo is only producing games for one console now, unlike the past several generations of Nintendo. It seems like there should be several more games being made, but there aren't. And even games that aren't ports, like Splatoon 2 and Mario Maker 2, seem like they're ports, but with more content compared to the actual ports.
I disagree. Because like, if you look at what Nintendo was doing before, they had specific studios that more or less were exclusively handheld development studios, and then they had other studios that did exclusively home console stuff. Now it's not as simple as being like, okay, handheld companies make 1080p video games now. Because then you have Pokemon and everybody's like, oh, this game was rushed and blah 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 blah. So like, I think that them not having this like maxed out output because of the like more headroom, I guess, that they have now, because their developers are not split between two platforms, is still kind of there until they get the adjustment period of like, okay, now we're all used to HD development, and that's what we're going to do. Also, I mean, there's studios that like Alpha Dream, RIP, you know, like they don't have them anymore. So there's like stuff like that also happens. I think the ports are good. I don't think that they carry the Switch in any way, because they're effectively new games to anybody. I mean, everybody anyway. Most people did not play, even though Splatoon sold great for what it was on that platform, and Mario Maker. Most people did not play those original games.
Right.
So for them to put those games on there just makes sense. The same thing for even like The Last of Us on PlayStation 4. That game came out at the tail end of PlayStation 3's life. So most people, and also PlayStation 3, at least in the US, lost to Xbox. So them to put that on the platform that is now winning in the US just makes sense. Because, oh, I didn't have a PlayStation. Now I do. So I'm going to play this. It's the same thing. I didn't have a Wii U. I was interested in Mario Kart 8. Now I have a platform that can play it. I'm going to buy that. And for the record, I'm speaking, I had a Wii U.
Right, yeah. I think, I mean, as far as, I think the ports can seem like a stopgap in some ways, in that, like, yeah, these aren't new games. They're coming out so that other people can play games and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think from Nintendo's perspective, it's also like, we made this game that we're proud of. Barely anybody got to play it. Like, we sold fewer than, like Bayonetta 2 sold, I can't remember, but like less than 500,000 or something like that on the Wii U.
It was like
they're
700,000.
Okay, yeah. So they're like, it sold this many, and only 13 million people even had access to buying it, because that's as many people as were on there. So like let's make a slot for this game to be able to have a second chance. Because also, if they want to elevate those franchises, they can't bury those games down. Like, people want to catch up on games and stuff like they do. So like, it is easy to see, I think, as a Wii U owner, that it feels like, well, this sucks. This isn't anything new for me. And it's taking up a slot that something would otherwise need. But I think also thinking about it in the sense that, yeah, it does. I literally just said this, so I apologize for repeating myself. But that because of that, the franchise can be allowed to continue, whereas, otherwise it just couldn't.
And also, I mean like,
couldn't, but yeah,
just by numbers. And as a Wii U owner, there's a lot of ports that happened that like I didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came out on Switch, I played them. Mm-hmm. So if it's not the game that you want, don't buy it. Mm-hmm. If it is a game that you want, just because of support doesn't mean that it's any less valuable to you. Like, and that's the thing that I see a lot of people do, where it's like, oh, Pikmin 3 is announced, but it's a port that I didn't play and that I'm interested in playing, but because it's a port, I think it should be less than that. And
right.
It's like, it doesn't really make any sense. Because games are not priced at cost. It's not like this game costs this much for us to make, so therefore this is how much the game costs to buy. Like, and also I don't think that I agree with what you were saying about like Nintendo's approach to it, where it's like, we're probably this game, we want more people to buy into it, and that it can serve as a stopgap. I don't think that those things have any correlation to each other,
right?
At least from
Nintendo.
Like, exactly. I think that they're like, oh shoot, our best-selling games is a Wii U port. Great. But I don't think that was their intent. They weren't like, we're putting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on there because it's definitely going to be our best-selling game here. It was just a happy accident. It was like a thing of like, well, we know this is going to do well, but how well, who knows, right?
Yeah, I think there's some kind of like vibe that Nintendo should be embarrassed by the ports or something like that, and like hide them behind other things. Yeah, because I think the truth is the opposite. It's like, we were proud of this game, but we didn't get a chance to showcase it. It's like, I mean, there's, for example, bands that I listen to, less so now, but Anberlin has a song called, I forgot which song it's called, but it's a song, it's on their album, Never Take Friendship Personal. And then I guess maybe it just it didn't get to be a single or something like that. I don't know. So they just re-released that song on a new album, just re-recorded it to, fit in with the production of the new album. And it was a single on that album. Obviously, there was something about, they were like, either we didn't like it back then quite as much, or just didn't get as much of a chance to shine. People didn't really give it a chance or something. So we're just going to put it back out. And there's nothing at that point, like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. Lots of conflicting thoughts. But the big major point is like, if you feel like people didn't get a chance to experience and enjoy your creative product, then, just put it out again. Yeah.
And like, look at Rocket League. We talked about Rocket League a little bit earlier. Rocket League was a different game, more or less the same game, but called something else and marketed a lot worse on the PlayStation 3. It came to PlayStation 4 as Rocket League, had the whole PlayStation Plus push, and then it freaking blew up. Right now it's multi-platform, like huge game. That wouldn't have happened if they thought, well, old game is old, you can't port it because that would just be trying to care, like that sort of thing. It's like, it's a game that people have not yet played. So give them the chance to play it. And if they buy it, they buy it. If they don't, they don't.
Yep. Also, for what it's worth, the song was the Feel Good Drag. And now, Now you know, because Mike, Super Short Show. Chip Corley said, I would argue the auto accelerate and auto steer in Mario Kart 8 are worse additions. I've had many new Mario Kart players use it and not like them at all. And as for returning players, it is the most annoying thing to have to turn off. This goes double when the race is started and these settings are on. Auto steer or auto accelerate always end up turned back on somehow, even though I've never seen a person that uses them intentionally.
I disagree that they're the worst additions. I think it's a bad idea for them to automatically turn them on. But fully again, the type of person that would need them would more than likely not know that they need to turn them on. Right. So it's just easier to turn them on and then rely on the people that know that they want to turn them off to turn them off. And I do I have a 9-year-old niece, and she gets flustered and frustrated when she's playing Mario Kart without the auto steer. She doesn't like the auto accelerate. I don't know why I just feel like you're not playing the game at all if you don't have, if you have the auto accelerate. But like auto steer, it's not like it hard takes over the steering. It just prevents you from being able to like go off the course, which for people that know how to play the game, that matters more, because it's like, no, but I want to do this shortcut or whatever, right? But for people that aren't good at the game and don't really understand it that much, it's useful. So I don't know. I think that it's a good feature to put in there.
I think it's one of those things that like, as far as like barrier to entry or whatever, it's, and I kind of said this in the video too, but I agree that I think they should be turned on automatically for the beginning, and then you can go into the settings and change it so that it's turned off automatically.
Right.
And then
or even not even have to do that. Maybe they turn them on automatically, and then there's a pop-up the first time you boot the game.
Right.
Or whatever,
exactly.
Or go in to play the game, and they're like, this is auto steer, this is auto accelerate. Do you want this? Yes or no?
And then you say, because I fully agree that it's very annoying to be like, why is this driving so weird? And it's like, oh, it's on again. That's super annoying. But I think, as far as like new players or something, there could be people who are new to like not new to games in general, but new to Mario Kart or something. And then for them, even that would be kind of like, oh, this is kind of annoying. But as far as having played with like younger kids, where it's like, I mean, you're really lowering the barrier entry there, because like a 6-year-old or 9-year-old or whatever can play the game and be fine. But if their 4-year-old sibling wants to play as well, this way, like you actually can, which is kind of nice.
Auto accelerate is a good idea.
And Luigi can win by doing nothing.
You can't necessarily tell the 4-year-old press the A button.
Right, exactly.
Like that sort of
and they're just like, I pressed it. Like, no, hold the A button. Can't do that. So, but no, I mean, I agree on that it's a frustrating thing that keeps coming up. But I think it was a really good addition to be able to like,
I think
widen that gap
feature.
as far as possible.
It's a questionable execution of said feature.
Exactly. Yeah. The last comment is from Guy Flies, who says, I think an argument could be made to include Breath of the Wild on this list. We also got several comments that mentioned, what about Breath of the Wild? This was the most eloquent one, though, so I appreciate Guy Flies' comment. While it's unique to these games being released together with the Wii U version, however, it was created for the Wii U and with delays was able to be released at launch on the Switch, but a port all the same.
That's fair.
I would half agree and half disagree, just because I think it's
the Switch version influenced the Wii U version just as much. Well, not just as much, obviously, but like it influenced the game as a whole. So it's like more so a multi-plat than it is a port.
Right. That's
like there's features that they removed from the Wii U version because the Switch version exists.
Yeah. I think, and also like the vibe with all of the rest of these games is, hey, remember that game you loved on the Wii U, or that you wanted to have loved on the Wii U but didn't get a chance to? Here it is on the Switch, but revamped. And in that spirit, all of these other games fit within that narrative, but Breath of the Wild doesn't. So if we're rating it as, especially because like the things that we were rating here weren't the base games themselves. Otherwise, Breath of the Wild would just win automatically anyway. But, and that's why like some of them I put higher than other ones that I actually preferred the games in reverse order or something. But because like they added more to the deluxe edition for this one than they did to, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, they added funky mode, which was, I think, more helpful than people give it credit for. But that's pretty much all they added. Whereas with Breath of the Wild,
that's the core of it, of like just like the auto accelerate thing. It's like people are going to only give it as much credit as like they experienced.
Yes, exactly. And again, like I agreed with the Funky Kong. I didn't fully agree with people giving it as much crap as they did, but I agreed more so than now, where now I'm like, no, this actually was very helpful, because like, for a veteran, funky mode is more than useless. Like it's just fun to be like, oh yeah, let's check out what Funky Kong's like. Cool. Now I know what Funky Kong's like. But then for somebody who's just a fully entirely different person, it's actually pretty useful. So all that to say, Breath of the Wilds, I get what you're saying, but for the purposes of it being upgraded or changed for the Switch release, different from the Wii U release, it's, it doesn't really fit into that conversation in the same way.
Because like with that line of thought, Breath of the Wild kind of got worse.
in the sense of like, because
in the sense that like it had more like console specific features and it was like trying to use the hardware rather
Right.
than
When
being
it was
like
going
a
to be on just the Wii
straightforward,
U.
like this like Breath of the Wild in its current state could be on PlayStation 4.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild in the way that they envisioned it for Wii U couldn't have been on even Switch.
Yeah.
Hence why they changed it.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, good comment. Everybody, thank you so much for your comments. And we're now on to the last part, which is Q&A. Also, so we always do timestamps for these videos, which you may know if you use them and you might not know if you don't. But today I'm using the stopwatch feature on my phone, but I keep forgetting to press it until like 5 minutes into the segment anyway. So like, this is going to be the most useless thing to like go back to and be like, yeah, that one was like 7 minutes late anyway. So whatever, I'm just going to do it the normal way. In any case, we ask for your questions. You give us some questions. We give some answers to them. And so here are some of those. So first from YouTube community, Cool asks several little questions all at once. First one, how do you say graphical image, whatever that stands for, GIF format? Graphical image format, is that what the full thing is? Did I make up two of those? Okay.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
I say GIF.
I say GIF.
100%.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I hate GIF for two reasons. First of all, the whole like it's graphics and blah blah blah, and like they say, you know, like, and then they're like, but what about giraffe? And it's like, hey, but graphics isn't graphics and all that crap, right? But also to spite the creator of the format that thinks that he can change the rules of language,
right?
Because he created the format.
Yeah,
I'm like, nah, dude. Just because you want it to be called GIF because you're trying to freaking change an acronym or whatever, right? It's like, nah, man. I'm sorry.
Which, I mean, goes to show with the New York Celtics, right? That's a team. Because Celtic is pronounced Celtic, but it's CEL, but that's like wrong.
For the record, it's not New York.
It's not New York? Oh, who's the Celtics? Boston.
I'm pretty sure it's Boston.
Boston Celtics. You're so right. Yeah, somebody's mad at me now. I don't know who, but somebody.
Probably nobody's listening to it. Well, possibly. I don't know. The crossover of like sports fans that specifically like the Boston Celtics that listen to this podcast are very angry at you right now.
They're so mad. Continuing on. Also, do people in New York actually scream, "I'm walking here," or is that a movie thing?
I asked Bob this, and like for the record, like again, I'm freaking from New Jersey. I've been to New York several times. I've never seen it IRL, but I was talking to Bob about this. Probably, I think it was like the first time I met Bob in person. It was like around the Switch thing. I was like, do people actually say this? And he was like, I legitimately said that today. Like today, he like that situation happened.
That's the only thing I've ever heard New Yorkers say, for what it's worth. So,
is that just what you hear Bob and Will say all the time?
The whole time? Yeah, I thought they were going to be talking about Switch stuff. The thumbnails always suggest Switch stuff, but they're just talking about walking here. So
is it? Oh, okay. So it's not, I thought it was like I thought it was like a foster home. You ever see Foster Home for Imaginary Friends?
Very barely.
You know the Coco, the bird.
Nope. Don't even. So not even that much.
Tree thing. Okay, so there's this bird playing tree thing named Coco, and all she says is Coco, but people still understand what she's saying, even though she's just saying Coco.
So like a Groot kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Oh,
so
Coco
is that
looks
how you
crazy.
understand? Is that how you understand Bob and Will?
It is.
Just
like
1,000%. You understand on like a spiritual level, so like it doesn't matter that all they say is "I'm walking here."
I'm walking here. Exactly. And then Cool goes on to say, also, do people in the US say that again when someone accidentally says something that makes them see the full picture, or is that a movie thing?
Wait, oh, I get it. So you're it's like you're talking to somebody and they're like, man, all you do is say the worst thing possible. Why can't you just be normal? And they're like, say that again. And it's like, why can't you just be normal? And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to be normal now. No, I don't think people actually do that.
I wasn't sure. It could have gone two ways. One was that kind of way where it's like realizing things, or like say that to my face again. Like if you say that one more time,
if that's what it is, yes, 100% people do that. I don't understand why, but they do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a warning, I guess.
I guess we don't do that many movie things, unfortunately. Yeah, no. It is funny though. There's I was YouTube sometimes has great ads before things. Usually it doesn't, but
I don't
sometimes.
know. I haven't seen YouTube ads in years.
Oh
Dude.
yeah,
YouTube
because YouTube
Premium,
Red.
dude.
Look
You gotta
at that.
get on that YouTube Premium,
In any
everybody.
case, there was an ad for a masterclass, and masterclass has a couple of ads that have come up, and usually they're like 2 minutes long. And some ads, most ads, I'll skip at some point or whatever, depending on context.
How dare?
Very much depends on the video. If it's a smaller creator, then I don't. And if it's I don't know, a really big channel,
Rip
then I don't
Bob,
care.
dude. Rip.
No, even that, like anybody in our sphere, I don't. But
okay.
Nevertheless, so it was a masterclass thing, and at some point it was talking about like script writing or something, and the guy pointed out the fact that like nobody starts their sentence with "damn" or something like that.
I start my sentence with damn. If I just say damn, I just say damn. And that's the sentence, is it not?
I think, so in the or I can't remember what it was, but it was like, it was something where like people in scripts will write certain things. I don't remember the context. Maybe it wasn't even that, but people in scripts will write certain things that just like aren't the way that people actually talk.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Man, I can't think of any of the examples, but I'll write stuff in my own scripts and I'm like, I'm going to read that later. But if I were ever to say this sentence in real life, I wouldn't be saying this sentence in real life.
See, but that's the thing. Usually when I write my scripts, I might write it like that, and then I'll read it, and then I'm like, that doesn't sound like a
definitely
thing
do that.
And then I change it there.
Yeah.
Well, especially, no, it's more so I'm learning when I do a video with Dan. Because like Dan, he's more like
bits.
influenced by the the film world. So he writes what we say. He asks us, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this thing?" And then he'll script out the thing and then do it like that. And then he'll write out the script and then he'll have like a joke or whatever. And it's like he'll write it a specific way. And it's like we all know I'm very particular about how I deliver my bits. So I'm like, I wouldn't say it like that. I wouldn't say that word. So now I'll like rephrase that.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that I do that significantly more when it's what other people do, because I usually write in my own voice when I'm writing. But it does happen where I'm like, I would not phrase this like this, or I'm trying to like read something and I'm like, this just doesn't sound right for whatever reason. So I'm just going to say it in whatever way makes sense to me at the time of reading.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, there's a lot of things like that. I definitely noticed that with my scripts as well. Seven asks, what's the worst team and why is it yellow? I'm guessing this is Fall Guys.
Yeah, it's 100% yellow, dude. I don't understand why people hate yellow, but I'm on board. You know what? It's always the yellow team because nobody likes Team Instinct.
That's what I was about to say too.
Instinct was also the one that people hated.
Then again, so Team Valor's the one that turned into Team Rocket, so
rip.
That's what that is.
Rip.
There you go. But yeah, Team Blue all the way,
It's true.
That said, I think in Pokemon Go, I think I am Team Valor because literally all of my friends had already signed up for Team Red, and I was like, no, I wanted to be Mystic. But
I didn't care. I didn't care what my friends wanted. I was like, anybody that's not blue, just like I had to reconsider. That's like reconsidering your relationship, sort of thing. It's like, what? You picked anything not blue?
Yeah,
can't be friends. We can't be friends.
Man, remember Pokemon Go? What a time.
Yeah,
Falcon asks some questions. He says, this isn't the one that I grabbed from before, but that will come up later. He says, crossovers. What franchises would you like to see in a game together? Personally, I think it's downright sinful that we don't have a Subspace Emissary game.
That's a cheat answer. That's like
all of
all of the crossovers, all of the things.
Yep. I mean, I've said before that it would be fun to have a Galaxy Racers game that's all the Nintendo space racing kinds of thing, like the F-Zeros and Metroid and Star Foxes and Pikmins and stuff, just like space racing. But other than that,
I don't know, man. Let me think. I gotta think, because like I wasn't the kid that's like, all right, I got the freaking Dragon Ball Z action figures and they're going to play with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, nah, man, you're in your universe. You're in yours.
I mean, like Donkey Kong was in Punch Out. I feel like
I feel like it would be like that.
Little Mac should be in ARMS, and then an ARMS character should show up in a Donkey Kong game, and then we get just little like triumvirate, you know?
Yeah, like I would more so be willing to see that sort of thing, where it's like these one-off like like Kratos and freaking Shovel Knight, like that.
Yeah, right. As
where
opposed to like a Tokyo Mirage Sessions kind
like
of
a
like
whole game that is like these two things together would be something but I say that I kind of still want to see what a Mario and Sonic like platformer specifically developed by Nintendo, because Sega would 1000% screw it up. And I mean, like, I want Nintendo in charge of the Sonic aspects and the Mario aspects. I would like to see that. That could be dope.
That would be very interesting. Yeah, I can't think of. I mean, I think it would be great if they introduced some of their like the franchises we always talk about, like Ice Climbers or whatever, that just don't have any representation outside of Smash. If they introduce them into some other games as like a backdoor pilot kind of a thing, which if you don't know what that is, that's like, well, I learned that phrase completely from Jordan Fringe's channel, where he talks about some things, but he had a video on Rugrats All Grown Up, and that they had an episode of Rugrats that was called Rugrats All Growed Up, that it was a backdoor pilot for the show, where they pretty much were like, let's do pretty much a pilot for the show, but in the context of the, or like same in The Office, there's the farm episode where it's like a fully Dwight centric one where he's out at the farm, and they were testing out their potential spinoff to have a Dwight centric farm episode. So similarly,
or like the sort of things that like comics do, where like the first Black Panther appearance is in Fantastic Four, like that.
Yeah, right. So those kinds of things, I think that would be a fun way to do crossovers, is just get a little bit of a character into something pre-existing, and then that can launch the next thing. Yeah. But I don't know what that is. Ice Climbers in somewhere. There it is. That's all the comments from YouTube community. But now we've got questions from Twitter. Bianca asks us, give us your greatest conspiracy theory for that Mario picture Nintendo tweeted out. I didn't put this in the news, but here it is. It's kind of
news. It's not news.
Unless it is. That's the thing. That's why it's tricky. Is like,
this is what
we'll only know
it is.
retrospectively.
It's freaking Super Mario Party 2, and here's how I know. Look at the crab, dude. The crab is the same crab from the robot crab minigame. Then they got 2 boats. That means there's going to be a boat racing minigame. Then they got a Mario and Luigi.
There's 2 straws.
Yeah, exactly. That means that they're going to bring the mic functionality back, and you got to freaking have a drinking contest. That's what this is, dude.
It is.
It's not, don't have nothing to do with Mario Sunshine, nothing to do with Mario Odyssey. It's Super Mario Party 2.
More importantly, it's actually announcing that Mario's going to take a break for a long time. And he actually just is on summer vacation. Like, you're not cosplaying as him in Delfino Plaza in summer vacation. He's just
That's why Nintendo's not announcing any games, because Mario is on vacation.
They're trying to get him to come back to help them plan what they're going to do, but
he's enjoying his 35th anniversary away from video games.
Yep. If it is a tease, the only things that it could be, and like, it almost feels like it would be irresponsible for it to be a tease, because then it's one of those where like the more you have these like subtle tease kinds of things, the more people will latch onto those kinds of things in the future. You know, like the Chibi Robo thing.
There's a freaking Pokemon Johto plushes in the background.
Exactly.
That's what it don't.
Yeah, but that said, if it is anything, I mean, it could, the most it could be is, I mean, the Sunshine in the pack, Mario Odyssey 2 with Sunshine stuff in it. Yeah, that's it. Those are my options. So I don't know, but more importantly, let's just assume nothing.
Well, also, I'm shocked that somehow Game Theory has not made a video of like how freaking like aerodynamic are Mario's feet.
Yeah.
Does the shape of his toes make him a good jumper?
Yeah, I did. For what it's worth, I had an idea for like because Dan and Alyssa, when we were hanging out with them at PAX, were mentioning like, here's some, game theory ideas that we've had for a bit that, we're going to script out and pitch at some point or something like that. So I thought of one and it was like, hey, Dan, in case you're ever looking for something, here's an idea. I'm not going to say it in case things
Why don't
happen,
you just make it? Just make it for us. Non-compete.
It's so much work.
It's
So
true.
much work. But yeah, I mean, why not, you know? So in any case, there's all that. But continuing on, Mecha Dragon 101 asks, why is AJ named after the pony from My Little Pony?
Oh my
AJ,
god.
why are you? Did your parents love My Little Pony?
When did My Little Pony even come out? I
Early
think I'm older than
90s?
My Little Pony. My Little Pony.
I'm not going to look it up because you are. And also, search history, you know, My Little Pony.
What's wrong with
Just
looking
kidding.
at My Little Pony?
I'm
dude?
just joking.
There's dudes that like My Little Pony. You judging dudes that like My Little Pony?
I'm not.
That's
I don't know what
messed
year
up.
it came out, but why are you named after My Little Pony? That's all we need to know, AJ.
Can you tell me when it came out? Freaking Wikipedia, dude. Media franchise. No, this is taking me to the meaning of media franchise.
Oh my goodness.
1992. 1980s.
1980s. I don't know.
Wait, My Pretty Pony.
1982. Yep.
Yep.
It was
now
launched
it's
in
older than me,
1982.
dude. Rip,
Look at that.
It's older than me. But what pony is he talking about? Maybe I'm
probably
older
one
than
called
that
AJ,
pony.
you dummy. I don't know. Maybe not.
My Little Pony AJ. Enter. Applejack.
Oh, of course. Should have known.
When? Does it have year of origin? Applejack is a female.
Okay.
For the record.
Mm-hmm.
Expand. More info. Tell me when it premiered, dude. Relatives. Jesus. This pony has a lot of relatives.
I thought you were saying that's one that they listed. I'm like, probably not for a lot of reasons. But I guess we're not going to get into that right now.
No, that was an exclamation.
Well, you keep looking that up. I'm going to ask the next question and start speculating on it. Max, right?
Development and design. 1980s.
Okay. So, yeah, you are named after Applejack.
Freaking Applejack. Ooh, look at my name, dude.
What a time. You took hers. Sorry.
Hers.
I forgot.
Right.
There it is. Continuing along. Max Wright asks, if you had to cross over two Nintendo franchises, but the resulting game couldn't be in either of the ingredients game genres, what would the game look like? So it's kind of similar to Falcon's question, but a little bit different.
But the making of the game.
Yeah.
Saying what we want the game to be. Not just
I mean, honestly, a good example of it would have been like the Mario plus Rabbids Donkey Kong DLC. Even if, I mean, Mario plus Rabbids aside, but the Mario plus Donkey Kong crossover.
But Mario plus Rabbids just in and of itself.
In and of itself, exactly, yeah.
But it's not two Nintendo franchises.
Exactly.
I mean, just for the sake of those IPs' success in the long run, freaking and F-Zero and Star Fox crossover. That's a bounty hunting game.
Yeah, there you go. I'd be very down with that.
I did it. I saved everybody.
I feel like a very easy answer is pretty much anything plus anything puzzle game. You know?
No.
I mean,
no.
You don't have
Veto.
to like it. I'm just saying it's
Veto.
an option. It's a very easy option. Like, I don't know. Yeah, Zelda plus Fire Emblem. Oh, okay. Zelda plus Fire Emblem plus Xenoblade. So a couple more.
He said two.
I know, but I'm adding some extra ones to make it even more challenging or whatever.
Wow.
But like Nintendo.
How's that more challenging?
It's not, but I'm just saying it to make save face.
It's true. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. So, but doing like a card battling thing. So like
I hate it.
Nintendo, like Nintendo fantasy franchises, and do like a card battling kind of thing. That's what I think.
It's gross.
I'd play it 100%.
It's true, you would.
I'd
play the thing that I just came up with.
Yeah, because it's good. It's better than whatever weird thing you came up with.
No, you agreed about my thing before you even said your thing.
I know. Falcon, continuing on from the comment from a lot earlier that we moved over to here.
Falcon, comment number 3.
Said, also, with Nintendo saying they plan to, quote unquote, support Switch for about 10 years, what do you think we're likely to see as far as releases are concerned for the theoretical second half before the Nintendo swap is released? And then there's some more questions, but we'll do one at a time.
Hold on, wait. I think that it's going to be like a sort of, because Nintendo said that they're going to support the Switch
family,
or they want to support the Switch family for 10 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're actively making games for it.
Right.
More often than not, support just means it's something as simple as like,
I mean, like the 3DS is
like
probably
they
still
just
being supported.
Yeah, right. But like they're just starting to distance themselves from that. But you can still call them up and be like, yo, my 3DS is broken.
Yeah.
Can you fix it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Like they could be trying to say that they're going to still make games for it, and that's possible given the fact that Nvidia is like, this is a long-term thing. We're going to be making chips for them for a long, long time. It could also be an Xbox situation where every game that comes out for the swap for the first 3 years or whatever, it's also supported on the Switch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, in a theoretical world where it's like the last 2 years are a crossover, but it's like 8 years or something like that. So I think at this point I was just thinking about this the other day. The tricky thing that Nintendo has now is their surprises have to be much bigger surprises than they were at the beginning of the Switch life cycle. They still have a ton of IPs they can pull from to have surprises, but since they've had first iterations of most of their like big franchises, maybe all of their big franchises, then it makes it harder for them to like a sequel of Mario Odyssey is less of a surprise as Mario Odyssey was, or all that kind of stuff. So I do expect that we'd get more sequels, and maybe I think the most surprising things would be more varied gameplay type games, like, you know, those kinds of things, or new IPs. But this isn't really even quite answering the question, but I think the second half is going to be more doubling down on the franchises that we have, and hopefully
Mario Odyssey,
the Mario
Breath of the Wilds,
the Metro Prime 7s and so
7. Yep.
They just skipped the rest because they canned them all. So
they're like, all right, we started working on Metroid Prime 5 through 6 before Metroid Prime 4. They finished before Metroid Prime 4. So
yep.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? So I don't know. Yeah, that's tricky to think about. But continues the question by saying, do you think we'll get sequels to? Oh well, do you think we'll get sequels to games like Odyssey, Splatoon, and Fire Emblem? Yes.
Definitely.
No, yes.
Well, definitely Mario. I don't know about Splatoon, still unknown quantity because there's only 2 of the games, so there's no like real cadence there. Fire Emblem, yes, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know if it'll be a sequel or if it'll just be like, here's another Fire Emblem.
Right, yeah. And I don't know how similar or different it'll be to this one, whether it expands on the like monastery kinds of bits that we had, or it gets rid of the. I feel like it'll probably expand on it, I would guess, but I don't know. And then continue saying, or could we get the return of dormant franchises like F-Zero, Star Fox, and Ice Climbers? Perhaps new IPs, maybe.
I would be honestly shocked if we don't see anything from like F-Zero. Whether I don't know if they'll do it in the way that it already exists. They're going to change it in some way that most diehard fans are going to be mad about. But I would be shocked if we don't see, because they freaking love Captain Falcon so much. Yeah. So like, it just would be insane, not for them, but to me, to see how much they're like, we love this freaking character, dude. And for them to not use that. Because like they kind of did the same or a similar thing with Pit, where it's like, man, they're putting Pit everywhere. And they're doing these animated things with Pit and Palutena and all that stuff. And then they got a game. So I think that it's probably going to be something similar with F-Zero.
I mean, because in the Wii U days, I can't remember, there was a couple different rumors, and some of it got debunked, but some of it's not. But that they were trying to work with Acclaim, with some.
It was Criterion.
Criterion. Okay, but that they, I can't remember what part was debunked. Do you remember? Like, did they?
I think Criterion straight up said, "No, we're not."
Okay.
No, we want to work.
So that
on our
said,
own
I mean,
thing.
if Nintendo reached out and asked about doing that, then obviously there's some kind of desire from their side. Yeah. It could die down, but at the same time, it seems like in their mind, this would be like, well, this is like the time to try, you know?
Whenever Miyamoto talks about F-Zero or the prospect of a new one, it sounds like how Pokemon Company talked about Pokemon Snap.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd love to do it, but I don't know how. to do it, and make
it would have to be a really good something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good idea to set it apart. Like that sort of thing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Also, I think we're pretty due. Excuse me, for a Wario something game.
Yeah.
That's just a thought that I had.
It's true. It's true.
So I don't know. There's those questions. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like 2021 could be an interesting year as far as what things come out. I mean, at this point, maybe everything gets pushed back, so we'll have to see. But we'll just play it by ear. In the meantime, we'll play Smash and whatnot. And we'll all answer questions from Discord. And this is the last bunch that we have. Duncan says, "Yo, when
He
Super
said
Nintendo."
one yo this
He
time.
did, but one elongated yo, which counts for something. When Super Nintendo Land, or whatever the amusement park is called,
That's
finally
what it's
finishes
called,
construction.
World.
Yeah. What's the one ride / attraction / themed junk food item / whatever else they have these things you want to see the most? Hope you all have a great and safe weekend. Heart. Moi, kisses. Love you, boys.
Heart, kiss.
So the question here is also, because didn't they possibly stop
they delayed it
Florida one?
indefinitely.
Yeah.
Well, they're not stopping it, but they're like,
Okay.
we don't know when this is done, so
okay. Don't expect any kind of dates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which sucks.
I want jelly donuts from Pokemon.
That taste as good as they look in the show.
Yeah. Specifically called jelly donuts, but there's still onigiris. So it grosses everybody out when they bite into it. Because not because onigiri is bad, but
it's not what you're expecting.
Yeah, it's not what you're expecting. So it's like I'm biting into this thing that I think is a donut, and I get seaweed and rice and filling.
Yeah.
So that's what I want. But also, I made a whole video about the rides and attractions that I want.
I'd like anything Zelda, to be honest.
So a Master Sword, Ocarina.
Yeah.
A freaking Loft Wing.
That kind of stuff. I mean, as far as like rides or attractions, like I'd be down. Yeah, Loft Ring ride would be dope. Or something along. I'm trying to think of. I don't know. There's some ideas, but then also like you could do like a crossbow challenge kind of thing where you don't actually have a real crossbow, but like a VR crossbow thing or something along those lines. I don't know. I haven't thought very hard about it, but something Zelda. That's what I want.
It's true.
Yeah. Grimhane asked some questions. First of all, he says, with the utter and total lack of any Nintendo games announced in a major direct, how do you feel about cookies?
They're okay. They're all right. No, I like cookies.
You have to clear them every once in a while, and
you gotta like every time you go into a new website, you gotta like accept their cookies.
Yeah,
like
they're not nearly as tasty as you.
They're always shoving their cookies down your throat, dude.
Yep.
It's messed up.
It depends on the kind of cookie for sure. There's some really good ones, and then otherwise I'm kind of like, whatever.
With sweets, just in general, I'll take it or leave it. I don't seek out sweets. Mm-hmm. Like if anything, like the closest that like where I'm like, man, I want sugar, I'll go for like juice or something. Mm-hmm. Like I'll drink stuff before I'm like, I want a snack. Like I'm not really a snacker.
I think like the main things that I crave in terms of the sweet, I mean, like I eat a lot more sweets anyway than I should regardless, but like if they're just around. But the things that I like crave are things in like dark chocolate, like decadent kind of direction. Mm-hmm. So, or like caramel chocolate, something like that. If we've got something like that around, I want that. Or in the, more like fruit flavored kind of direction. So like not necessarily gummy worms, but like sour candies and that kind of thing. I really like sour candies.
I just generally gravitate towards like for drinks and snacks and stuff like that, like that flavor
palette
spectrum.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm totally with you.
I'm like, dude, and I'm always considering it. I'm like, do I want to go on Amazon and order 5-pound bag of sour gummy?
Yes, all the time. No, but we got. There's a place around here that sells like gourmet big cookies, and you can buy. They only have like a couple different kinds at a time, and we've gotten stuff from there. a couple of times, and it's usually kind of disappointing. But I was the most disappointed when Ashley got, as one of the cookies, a big chocolate chip cookie, but it was like milk chocolate chips, which is just not worth it at all. Like I was so disappointed. Not that I was even that excited about the cookie, to be honest. Like I was like, all right, chocolate chip, whatever. Like sometimes it's amazing. Like an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie, so good. I don't know what they're doing right, but they're doing it.
You know what? But hold on one second.
It's got to be.
And I know some people are like upset about this, and they're like, but blah blah.
Oatmeal
blah.
raisin.
You know it's freaking great, dude. And I don't care what anybody says. Freaking white chocolate macadamia nut cookies.
Fully agreed.
They're lit. I know some people are like, but white chocolate is not chocolate. I don't care, dude. Macadamia nuts are dope. I always, this is another thing that I continuously debate. I'm like, do I want to buy a freaking huge bag of just macadamia nuts, like freaking honey roasted or something?
Yeah.
But macadamia nuts are expensive.
Yeah. So many nuts are expensive. Pistachios. I love pistachios. That was when I was like 5, I just called it the green, or maybe like 3 or something. I don't know. I called it the green ice cream, and that was my jam. That was all I ever wanted. But also shout out to Jaffa cakes, like Pims and stuff, for those raspberry specifically. Yeah, raspberry Pims are. I mean, that's probably one of my favorite kinds of cookies, if I'm being fully honest. They're so good.
I'm upset by their name, because Jaffa cakes, they're not cakes if they're cookies. Make up your mind. You can't be a cake, a cookie, and a biscuit all in one. Make your mind up, dude.
A cake, a cookie, and a biscuit. Walk into a bar. It's just pins. There you go. All right. Next question. Will Sega ever again do what Nintendo don't? Wow. What a question.
They probably, man. They're doing it currently. They're making games of their
other
biggest franchise that is not good. Like they always do it.
Yeah.
Whether it's for better or worse, Sega always does what Nintendo don't.
And there it is. Yeah, I have zero opinions about this question. I just think it's funny. Next question. Why do people avoid calling themselves fans? And are they afraid they'll blow away their friends?
Dude, that's messed up. This is a direct attack on Youth Hurt, because Youth Hurt says that she's not a Harry Potter fan, even though she got very offended by the house that Grimhain said that she was in Harry Potter. And our whole thing is like if you, not only the fact that you even like have any like concept of what that means, but you get vehemently upset about it, you're a fan. Like I don't know how else to slice it. But also, there's no wrong with being a fan.
Yeah. What's the sound of a Metroid?
It's silent, dude. It's silent.
No, I just did it.
Okay, do it again. Gross. I hate it.
Yep. That's the one. No, they just like. That's it. That's their sound.
They can't crawl, so they can't make noise.
If goldfish are orange, why do we call them goldfish? Because orange fish was already taken.
Was it? I don't think that's true.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
they didn't have the word orange yet.
There you go. Dimitri Martin has a fun joke about like oranges are called, like whoever named fruit must have been really late about something, whatever. But like orange, it's orange. Call it an orange. What about this one? Long pointy, and it's a carrot. He says it way better, but whatever. Here we are. Moving along. Which anime uncle is best?
This is a leading question. He wants you to say Iroh.
Yeah, I can't.
It's a leading question in two directions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I can't say that I have an opinion as of yet. I'll have to do some more research and get back to you.
Yeah, I don't know enough anime uncles to comfortably come up with an answer.
Is there? I'm trying to think.
Does Piccolo count? Is Piccolo an uncle? He's kind of an uncle.
Sure. Yeah.
This Piccolo freaking died. For his
I have such bad. Grimhain, I appreciate all of your very funny questions, and I have terrible answers for all of them. But the questions are funny, so like you did a good job. I'm proud of you. Kushal asks, "What's the best pie?"
See, In 2019, I would have said cheesecake, but now everything's cake, so I don't know. I don't know.
Best pie.
It's cheesecake. But even the best pie is cake. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everything's cake, dude.
Everything's cake.
Have you not seen the internet?
Oh no, I'm so aware. I'm cake. And but the cake is a lie, so it's
that's
it all
true.
out
You know what? So I'm going to stick
reverse
to my
psychology.
answer. It's cheesecake, 100%.
I'm gonna say for me probably some kind of like blackberry or like a tart berry kind of.
So have you heard me and Bob's whole thing about sauces?
I feel like yes, but I don't remember.
Like if we're like at a restaurant and they're like, you want sauce more often than not, we're like, no, because they just do it too much. They're just like they give you all of their sauce. They just take the whole freaking and then they put it all.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I could just get sauce on the side at that point.
That's how I feel about most pie.
Oh yeah, because it's just goopy stuff with like some bits of things
to a point.
Yeah.
But it's also, and this is another tangent, and I know people are going to judge me for this, but I don't care. Since when have I ever cared? So how I feel about Reese's,
right.
They have too much peanut butter, dude. Give me more chocolate to balance it out. And that's how I feel about pie. Give me more crust to balance out all of the stuff inside of it.
I feel like there are some like homemade pie places that do a better job of that, of like having thick, like we went to see, when I finally met you in person for the first time up in Pennsylvania last year, we've been staying with my grandparents, and my aunt and my grandfather make pies they love making pies. And so we had pie like every night when I was up there with my grandparents.
Didn't even give me a single pie.
Not a single pie, man. What a time. But his pie was a great like crust to stuff ratio. But even then, I like the stuff so much that like it's
much, man.
I don't care. It's whatever.
It's too much, and then it's like syrupy and
I'm down with that.
Not that much.
But I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from though. Like texture is a thing, and I'm fine with that kind of texture. I made a recipe recently that I didn't have cornstarch, so I had to use flour instead, and it did not do the right thing. And Ashley ate like half of it, and I was like, yeah, because it was just goopy and gross.
I can't do it.
But that's the best pie. It's blackberry-ish, something like that.
That doesn't even make any sense.
There's like a world of like, those kinds of berry, like blackberry or like gooseberry or whatever, like the tart kinds of berries.
I'm not okay with gooseberry, just in the concept. Gooseberry sounds gross.
You just leave it untitled.
Sounds like something that it's not.
That's also
just that alone makes me not even want to engage.
Yeah,
I'm not okay.
Grimane asked some more questions. Number 1, what's the speed of dark? 14. What's the sound of silence? 14. Since this is actually the 124th episode, since Dan would naturally be on the 125th, will you have Dan on next week?
Nope. We'll just get Dan on 150 and we'll like
because he was on 25, 50, 75, 100 or something. Was that
Dan said he wanted to be on all the milestone episodes, but then Dan got.
Is 125 that much of a milestone? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Milestone.
Personally, I don't think so. I think that we're at the point where, like, at most, it's like obviously when Dan has time, he can come on whenever he wants.
Yeah.
But for the times where we got to freaking bend over backwards, at most it's 50s now.
Yeah.
It's 50s. So 150, potentially sooner than that if Dan has time. Hit up Dan. Tell Dan. I already told you people. I tell all of our guests that if you want to be on directly to you got time to be on directly to you, let me know. Because I can't keep up with everybody. Be like, hey, you free to go be on directly to you just randomly?
I looked back at some messages that I'd sent some other people where I was like, hey, would you want to be on directly to you or on our podcast at some point? And it's like people that I don't know super well, but like I thought would be fun to be on. And they were like, yeah, that could be fun. And then I went back and was like, I mentioned that to them like in April, and then I never followed back up. So like,
because I just, especially freaking Dan. That's Dan. It's 100% on Dan.
Yeah,
the only person that does the thing that I tell you people to do is Max. He's the
It
only one
is.
that's like, yo, I haven't been on Directly to You in 3 weeks. Let me be on Directly to You. I'm like, all right,
And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Yep. That's it. I think we'll have a guest next week. So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
that's true.
And then last question from Graham Hain is Appa or Naga? There is a right answer. AJ, don't cheat. And Youthert said, yes, there is a right answer, AJ.
All right, I'm conflicted on this because I do think Naga is cooler. Just on concept. Like if somebody asks me, yo, what do you want? A freaking polar bear dog? Or do you want a bison that can fly? Just because the polar bear dog is cooler, I'm going with the polar bear dog. But I do think that like Appa matters more.
Yeah.
So Appa's probably better. But Naga's cooler.
I didn't know Appa was spelled like that. I thought it was OPPA. So here we are.
Nope.
So I'm saying Appa, I guess.
I don't know how that relates to anything.
It doesn't. I don't know much about Naga, to be honest. Is that also from
Korra? It's from Korra.
Oh, okay. Then I haven't gotten that far and I don't know. Nice. Continuing on, Cowboy asks, if you could revive and or remaster one third-party N64 series on the Switch, what would it be and why? Mine is Snowboard Kids because I just have fond memories of playing it with my siblings. Also, not podcast related, but same question to Duncan. Also, by the way, I should have mentioned this way earlier, but Duncan made a video on his channel that you should go and watch.
It's true.
Do that. Check out my Twitter or his Twitter or something to go find it. Continue.
Did we retweet that on the fanatixfour Twitter?
I don't know. That's a good question. I did it from mine, but I don't think to do things from.
You should have did it.
Yep.
I don't know if I retweeted from my Twitter, but I was looking up something else and I don't remember what it was. What was the question? The N64 thing.
Yeah, third party remaster remake. I mean, mine is going to be the same. I've said several times. It's Extreme G, which I commented on Duncan's video. I was like, probably you're not going to mention Extreme G in this, but I still love you and forgive you. And then he did, and I edited it, and I was like, thank you so much. You were the best. And
did he mention it for you specifically?
No, he just mentioned it as well, because the video is, like if you were to make an N64 classic, here's literally everything that could go on.
But
I was saying it for the people, not for you.
Okay.
You knew. But so that's just one of the ones that could go on there, and I totally agree. Extreme G, let's do it. Also, that's probably one of the only third-party games I bought on the N64 back in the day. So
that's why I'm like looking them up right now because I don't even know. Well, for Bob, I'm going to say freaking Rogue Squadron.
Mega Man? Oh,
no,
yeah.
Rogue Squadron.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to say Mega Man. Bomberman is what I meant to say.
Oh hell no! I like thought to myself, I'm like, is hell okay to say? That's how much I've trained my brain.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
So there you
going to
go.
say Rogue Squadron. Other than that, because Generation Bad sucks, dude. Can't even think of any third-party N64 games that are even worth remastering for the game itself. Fight me.
And then last question from Mega Man. What should Mega Man spend his voucher on? Duncan said Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Duh. I think it totally depends on what you have or haven't already bought yet, because I have.
Yeah, I don't know. You didn't tell. You should have told me every game that you already have from the vouchers, which one you already considered and don't want to play, and also whether or not yours are like expiring soon or something.
I think they are.
I would just usually say to not. You know what I mean? Just don't. Especially for something like that. Like if it's not freaking, if there's no game that you're like, man, I really want that.
I think they are expiring soon is the only thing. I could be wrong about that. If it's just in the US, but
then just freaking get. No, he's not in the US, man. He's in
that's what I'm saying.
The Australian state of New Zealand.
I was saying, I think they have expired.
You didn't even.
US. It's the Australian state of New Zealand, as we all know.
It's true. It's a fact.
I'm gonna say you should spend it on snipper clips because that's a great value proposition for the $50 you spent for the $20 that snipper clips is. So you're welcome for that wise business decision. And with that, This podcast
That's
is
the
a wrap.
end. It's
We did it.
over.
The whole
The
thing.
podcast has ended. It
Dunzo
is
Bonanza.
complete. You're all completionists. Everybody that finished this, you get the Xbox achievement. You get the platinum trophy.
Yep.
Yep, that's the sound.
You get to hear
that
what a
makes.
Metroid sounds like again.
Oh no.
That one was
I'm
better than
sorry.
last time.
I'm sorry that this is the reward that you get. Reward question mark? I don't know. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for commenting. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching our videos and stuff. I appreciate.
Same.
Goodbye.